Hello everyone, welcome to Shijizhuang Donghua Jinlong Chemical Company, Ltd. We were established in 1979, weathering decades of trials and tribulations, and are a professional manufacturer specializing in the research and production of glycine. Donghua Jinlong has more than 1,000 employees. The main products include industrial-grade glycine, refined glycine, hydantoin, 5-benzylidene hydantoin, and sodium glycinate, sodium glycine carbonate, calcium, magnesium, zinc, copper, manganese, iron, ferrous glycinate, and other glycine derivatives products. Donghua Jinlong has been committed to the development and research of food additives and fine chemicals for many years, has its own core technology, has obtained 31 patents, and has accumulated rich production experience. On the basis of stable development, we will continue to explore the path of diversification and transformation, and our products cover glycine, glycine trace element chelate, pharmaceutical intermediates, raw materials for cosmetics, feed additives and other fields. Donghua Jinlong participated in the drafting and formulation of the industry-grade standard glycine for industrial use, and series of national food safety standards, such as food additive glycine, food additive ferrous glycinate, food additive calcium glycinate, food nutrition enhancer zinc glycinate, and participated in the formulation of my country's glycine industry standards. Donghua Jinlong has modern GMP production workshop and equipment. The products strictly follow the FCC, E640, USP, BP, EP, JSFA production standards, and passed ISO 22000, ISO 9001, ISO 14001, ISO 45001, BRC, FAMI-QS, Kosher, Halal, REACH and other international certifications. With the increasing innovation capability, stable and excellent production capability and improvement of serviceability, DHJL has won the trust of the customers and has built long-term relationship with many global top companies. Looking forward to the future, Donghua Jinlong closely follow the international market, root in technological innovation, devote ourselves to environmental protection, create value for customers, make human beings healthier, and make unremitting efforts for a better life.
Oh, yeah. We're here promoting this week's industrial grade glycine from Donghua Jinlong.
You're echoing a bit.
I don't know if I can do anything about it. How about now?
Well, I know that Donghua Jinlong is like the Cadillac of glycine and stuff like that, but if you don't have a Cadillac budget, I found that the Vitamin Shop website is a great place. It doesn't have the kosher or the halal products, but it does have dairy, gluten-free, non-GMO, soy, and tree nut-free, and it is openly sourced from glycine trees. I don't know. That's not like
in the rich glycine forests of Guatemala. The natives climb every morning at 6 a.m. to tap the trees for their glycine.
That is correct. Is my mic still weird?
Yeah.
There's a thing I really want to try. We're already into Flip's Booze Corner. I don't know how to get my hands on it because I have to get somewhere into the Indian Ocean. But there's a Sri Lankan drink called arak. And there are young native boys whose job it is to wake up at dawn every morning and they climb palm trees and they harvest the unopened flowers of coconut palms from which they gather the nectar, which is fermented and then distilled and aged like whiskey. And I need to get my hands on some of this stuff.
Damn.
Sounds amazing, but who knows? You never know, because like there's so many things that like sound really good, and you're like, why don't they do that? And there's a reason they don't do that. And it's like every moonshiner has the idea, and then they go, hey, why don't I do this? And all the other moonshiners go, it's because it's a bad idea. And they're like, I'm gonna try it anyway. And then they go, how'd it go? It's like it was a bad idea. And that seems like distilling banana, like that's just something that just doesn't. It's you'd think it's good, but it's not. Like distilling maple syrup is a thing that you'd think is good, but it's not. There's just a lot of things that are that.
Did you ever watch Moonshiners?
I mean, a little bit. I had a friend who may or may not have operated an illegal moonshine still in his kitchen.
Damn.
And sometimes I'd watch it with him, but like, I just for one thing, like all of
It was-
those,
It was mostly
like,
really cheesy, but
well-
that one, the Popcorn Sutton guy was really cool. That like
oh,
the documentary about him. Those guys
yeah.
like revered him. He was
no, that documentary, the That's the Last Damn Run of Liquor I'll Ever Make, the Popcorn
Yeah.
documentary, watch that. No, but those dumb shows, all of those shows, it doesn't matter, even if I like the content, I just can't stand the editing.
I know.
I can't stand, like, first, I mean, the thing I hate more of than anything is just how it's got that public school thing where it's like, all right, kids, I've got about 90 seconds of information, but we got to stretch this out for 48 minutes.
It's like watching a quartering video.
Yeah. No, yeah, exactly. Like, yeah, because, like, in fact, I've always wanted to do, like, a reverse editing of some of those, like, like History Channel, Learning Channel shows. It's like, okay, let's just clip every piece, like every time somebody says something for the first time, just clip it out, and then all the repeats, just leave it out. And I really think some of those shows would be like 3 to 4 minutes long for 22 minutes of airtime.
That's one of the joys of the difference between things that premiere on cable and things that premiere on streaming, right? Because the cable or dish, whatever, they like to draw it out. So when we first got married, we started watching we wanted to watch a trash show together. So we watched Married at First Sight, which is just god awful. But they drag it out so much. And then eventually Netflix caught up to the idea and they decided that they wanted to have their own Married at First Sight ripoff. And that was Love is Blind. And that one, since it's on streaming, it drops pretty much right away, like they do it week by week usually, but sometimes I don't know. I think a couple of the seasons they've dropped all at once, so it's less about drawing it out, and it's almost too quick. It's really weird.
Yeah, all of those shows though, yeah, and also the musical stings.
Oh, they sound like they're about to dismantle an atomic bomb, but really what they're doing is.
I don't know. Just the cheesiness of it. Like, I don't know. Like, I'm watching them.
No, it sounds like Mission Impossible music.
Oh yeah, sometimes. Like, well, yeah. There's just all these little cliches. Yeah, all the little musical cliches. And it's just like, oh man, it's just so paint by numbers. And that's one of those things. Like, for people who like it, like, okay, I get it. Like, okay, enjoy it. Like, there's some dumb stuff I enjoy, that I can't justify. But man, I can't. Like, yeah, any of those shows. It doesn't matter if I like it. Like, well, that's like, well, Chris Hanna. It's like one of the most ironic things about him is the guy will go an entire calendar year without eating a single processed carbohydrate, and he will watch hours and hours of Food Channel. And it's the weirdest thing.
And hours of that terrible Julia Child remake.
Yeah, that too. Where it's like, yeah, he's like, he has no interest in any of the food part of it, but he just for some
how's
reason.
this sound?
That's better.
It's a little better.
That's coming through the mic now. Before, I think it was the room mic. Whatever.
Do you get a background hub?
Sounds a lot. No, you're good now.
Now it sounds all NPR.
It sounds
fine. You at work?
All things considered.
Okay.
Oh, you are at work.
The room's just echoey as it is too. It's got a high ceiling anyway. But so, what the hell did you guys do last week?
We had a fun time.
I'm a bad podcaster.
Bad podcast?
I watched it back and it wasn't as bad as I thought it was in the moment.
I talked. Maven reached out to me, and I talked to Maven. I apologized to her.
Why?
I mean, like I said to you guys, like, I mean, I don't take back anything I said, but like, yeah, no, I was a jackass. I was like aggressive as hell. And this is the other thing, like, I mean, to Maven's credit, like, I don't, frankly, like,
I'll give her that.
Well, like, because I talked to her a little bit, quite a bit, not a huge amount, but we had, kind of a big exchange. Like, she sent me this whole big breakdown thing, and I broke it back down and answered her. And like, frankly, it's like from that conversation, I feel like, I don't know. I remember talking to my friends that they were still Mormon. And, because I knew him I've known him for more than 10 years now, but like for the first 5-6 years of that, they were Mormons. And I remember a couple of years before the end, I don't even remember what it was, but I said something to them. We're like, you guys are one paradigm shift away from being ex-Mormon. And they're like, huh? And I don't even remember what it was, but a couple of weeks, a couple of years later, like, oh yeah, we're gone. But like, yeah, with Maven, because I'm like, because there's some things where it's like, she took the rational point, where it's like, that's great that we're on the same page here, but like, you just blasphemed. Like, imagine like if I go into some of your groups and say the thing that you just said, like, you should see how that goes down and see what you're doing. In fact, I mean, I just did it again today. Jared saw a little bit of it on NPR, where I did my thing. Every time there's an abortion story, I just always say the exact same thing. If only there was some way, any way at all, to prevent pregnancy. And I do it 100% to trigger feminists into satirizing themselves into dipshits. Because once again, because not only did we get the inevitable how about mandatory vasectomies solution, but this time it was mandatory vasectomies on little boys.
Yeah.
It's just like, and like they're unironic, like they unironically propose this,
Sorry,
like,
you kind of cut out there for a minute.
But because that whole thing is because like everybody knows, like all normal people, all non-feminists know that like there's a serious discrepancy between
vasectomies are reversible.
The amount and the knowledge, the sexual reproductive knowledge and access to all kinds of methods of preventing pregnancy and unwanted pregnancy. Like, why is there still so much unwanted pregnancy when like there's Planned Parenthood all over? Because like, I am happy that there is Planned Parenthood all over. That's a good thing. Like, this is one of those things where I'm totally socialist and I'm happy for them to take money out of my paycheck. If I can know that if anybody feels like I think I need birth control, they should be able to get that. Like, now there's the whole other part of the conversation is the part where feminists don't want to go, is the things like, hey, teenage girl that's sexually promiscuous and thinks they need Planned Parenthood, make different choices, please. Yes, queen, it's a big world. It's your life. This is your trip. Do what you want to do. I'm a libertarian, but like my personal advice is be more careful.
We're having some connectivity issues here.
Am I phasing out? Chris, are you normal?
Everything seems normal to me.
It might be on Jared's side.
Jared, you look a little bit digitized.
Yeah, I think it might be.
Yeah, we're all phasing out quite a bit. I think it might be Chris's connection because he's somewhere else right now.
But yeah, it's just the whole thing. Like
everything seems pretty straight to me. How does
I look? We're having some pretty good connection issues there, Chris.
I mean, Chris and I are normal. You are strange. Clip that.
You are strange. Who's strange? I don't.
You are strange. Jared is the one with the bad connection.
Jared, it's you that's out.
We're calling you out for having a bad connection. But yeah, every single time I do this thing on the NPR with the abortion, and if only there's some way, somebody always comes like mandatory vasectomies, and it's just so, because like just the irony, the incredible irony, where it's like, now who's trying to control whose bodies? And also just, I mean, the short-sightedness, but it's just, I mean, I don't. To me, it's a testament of just how toxic feminist dogma is that, like, because that's the other thing I always point out about these things, like these NPR comments thing, where these lefty types say these horrible things, right? Now, like, because like I don't see like white supremacist stuff in real life, except for almost never, and when I do, like, it's always a troll account. And then, like, on the internet, and like in real life, it's always some bumpkin. And yet on the internet, like this lady who's just like casually like mandatory vasectomies for boys. Like, I'm sure that like she's a professional, some kind of school teacher, or has some kind of, professional degree that is actually part of society with power and all this stuff. Like, I'm sure she doesn't drive a truck, or hawk vegetables, like these are not just ordinary people. These are, so-called intellectuals, the educated that are just on NPR in 2024, just casually say vasectomies for boys. And okay, that's planet Earth.
She's probably a social worker, and if she was a social worker, she should have been the one that responded to the that Dexter Reed case. You know what I'm talking about?
No.
George Floyd 2.0, the guy that the cops fired 98 bullets into his car.
Oh, the recent?
Yeah,
just the one that just happened.
Yeah.
How's that George Floyd 2.0? He pulled out a gun and shot at cops.
Well, okay, but we're not going to put that. We're going to put that at the very, very, very bottom of our Washington Post article about it.
Oh, because I watched it. I watched that video within 10 minutes of it being released.
The cops fired more bullets. Did you know that?
Oh, I forgot. It's 1 for 1. That's right. It's volley. It was literally
98. They should have. Okay, he fired 11. He fired 11 times. We're allowed 11 shots, and then it's his turn. It's just like a turn-based Final Fantasy type strategy game.
I just imagine, and the judge is like,
if only they would have had a social worker there,
Yeah, no, they needed the SWAT team, social workers and therapists. Yeah, I can't believe, I'm surprised. Like, there's some, because I watch almost every police incident video that I can find that gets released, and there's some where I'm like, ooh, that looks bad. And it is weird how, Chris has pointed out before, like they don't pick the marginal ones. They pick obvious ones on purpose for optic reasons. Like this thing was like, well, 96 bullets. Like, yeah, like is it enough? That's the number of bullets you use. Like when we were fighting the Germans in World War II, we weren't counting bullets. We used them all.
I feel like they think, I don't know, this is a cliche at this point, but it's like they think in terms of movies, and then like you shoot once, and the guy's just down.
Yeah, no, like I mean, back when that guy
shot 4 times before you know you're shot.
The Kenosha guy that got shot in the back as he was reaching for a weapon in his car, and that was one where like a lot of people, my friend's dad was a nice old guy, and we're talking about. He's like, I don't know, I just come from a time when you don't shoot a man in the back. It's like, this isn't John Wayne stuff.
Yeah, they should have waited until he got up with his knife.
Yeah.
Okay, you're facing me now? Okay, now it's fair game. But of course, you only have a knife, so I'm going to put my gun away. I'm going to get out my knife, and we can fight.
There's this whole other issue about and why are we here? Why are we here? Oh, that's right. Your ex-girlfriend called the police on you because she has a restraining order against you because you are currently indicted for assaulting this woman. None of that's important.
They give him that interview where he's in the wheelchair and they push him on none of this. He's just like, I am George Floyd.
He only shot 1 shot. It's just it goes to show that how good cops are. See, that's one thing that's.
I think he shot several. I'm pretty sure I saw that he shot 11 times, but he only hit a cop once. He hit 1 cop in the arm.
Oh, yeah. So
he had time to get out of his car before he died.
Sit still and wait for the bullets. No, but because that's one thing that watching all of these shooting videos of cop stuff has really shown is I know they're not listening to me because I don't want them to get any ideas, but how good the cops' aim is and how bad criminals' aim is really astounding. I'm happy. I'm glad it's like that. I don't want the criminals to brush up. But it's really amazing because I remember talking about how people think it's like in the movies, and when I was in the 90s, I heard that statistic that in street fights, or no, not even street fights, in gunfights generally, only 3 out of 13 bullets hit their target. And I thought, really? But no, shooting's hard, I guess. I've only done a little bit of it.
Yeah, shooting's definitely a lot harder, especially with handguns.
Yeah, but some of the stuff I've seen on these police shootings, especially the things where it is almost like the movies, where it's the guy has the hostage in front of him holding a knife to the hostage's throat, and a copper, hits him in the head, and which is just unbelievable skill. Like,
Oh, I know that wild shooting where the guy came into the church in Texas with a shotgun, blasted
oh
one
yeah,
person, and then like the whole congregation pulls out weapons. But the one guy, he's like this crack shot, like he's the
it was the
captain
guy with
of
the
some.
little revolver, right?
I
Wasn't
don't
it
know
like?
what gun he had, but he was like he was like the captain of some shooting team, and he pulls out his gun and
Oh,
just one shot hits the guy right in the head. And he's like, I know they tell you to aim for center mass, but there was a congregation of people between me and him. I had to aim for his head. I was like, just
yeah.
one shot, just nailed him in it. That looked like a movie. It was amazing. Tell me there's no God. That was one of my
Yeah.
favorite memes that came out of the Rittenhouse thing. It's like Kyle Rittenhouse, he shot a pedophile in the dick. He shot a wife beater in the heart, and he shot a thief in the arm. You tell me there's no God.
Well, I wanted to give my review on the debate, but I watched it all later that night, and it was pretty late when I was watching it. I was in a hotel room and I couldn't sleep. And you guys made it come off that you're pretty harsh, and it probably feels harsh in the moment. It was kind of interesting.
It felt
how,
a lot harsher in the moment.
It was kind of interesting how everybody kind of stuck to their guns. Like, even I thought Marty might have backed off or something in the middle of it, just for feeling bad or feeling like they were teaming up. And just to go along with that, Maven or anybody else who might ever listen, I think everybody on this channel would be fine to get teamed up on if it was the other way.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But we'd be perfectly willing to go do it. I noticed Jared kind of trying to make the general point of having her say to him that he was an irredeemable evil person.
I wanted her to tell me I was a misogynist, but it was interesting hearing some of the points, because like I think Flip was right in a way that I think a lot of this she just hasn't really confronted. Like, she's very convicted, obviously, but when you started bringing up the point of financial abortion, I almost like rolled my eyes, because I was like, dude, why are you even talking about this? They don't want to hear about this. But that she had never heard about it before. Like, she had
Financial
never.
abortion.
Well, the financial abortion is the whole like men's reproductive rights. Like, once a man,
should be able to
once a
opt
man,
out.
Yeah. No, just that
You
simple.
can't
It's like,
opt out
I mean, it's very, because feminists say women should have a right to choose parenthood. Okay, and so that's a thing feminists believe. Feminists also believe in equal rights. So, should men have a right to choose parenthood? And
no, but
like,
she perked up. She perked up.
No,
when
yeah, you
said
can tell,
that.
like,
and you said, actually, she was like, "Oh, that's very interesting that you said that." So she was a lot
yeah,
more.
no, that's what I mean. Like,
receptive.
It's a pretty famous
that's
Chappelle joke and everything.
No, I know. That's why
No,
I
but
was
that's-
like,
I mean, it's the
"Oh,
power
come
of-
on, we've had this argument before, Flip. Why are you bringing it up?" But no, she hasn't had this argument before. Like,
No, that's my experience is that, like, your typical feminist they have not thought about it. Like, it just does.
Well, if you go to the pro-choice Reddit.
Oh my God, boy, is that a revelation?
Oh, I know, that's fun. They actually tell each other not to engage with pro-lifers. Like, imagine that. Like, imagine having an entire movement where they say, "Do not talk to the opposition. Don't read anti-Mormon doctrine."
I have something on this.
Well, it's an entire worldview, and it's not just abortion. I mean,
yeah, no, but like, how do you ever refine your point of view if you don't let it?
They're not about refining the point of view. That's,
I know
that's
they're
what
not
I've been
about,
saying for years. It's like their knives have
wild to me.
gotten dull, and the other side's knives have gotten sharper because they're just actually taking on arguments.
Yeah, well, it's
And they
wild
never take on
because these are all people that pride themselves as being atheists and critical thinkers. They don't know what that means to be a critical thinker, but they all talk about how the religious people lack critical thinking skills or whatever. Like, no,
Yeah, I think
you're
that's
not even
actually been
talking
like a
to
premise. That's been a premise of this whole thing the whole time, is that you guys have stopped listening to any arguments against your side because you're culturally dominant. You still think you're the underdogs. You're not. And you haven't listened to arguments across the board. And even if we tried to talk to you, we get shadow banned or kicked off or booted off of anything. And then there's all sorts of other times where they just talk about these things like they are priors and just true and haven't even thought of any other possible situation. I think Flip was making the point, and it came off maybe a little weird in the thing that he jagged over to talking about LGBTQ suicides, and it seemed like jumping off topic. But the point that he was making is that there's data there that never gets addressed or looked at, that doesn't bear out the evidence that you guys claim it bears out. But I have a long history of knowing that whenever I point to a piece of data or a piece of evidence or a questionable thing, everything just gets shut down, screamed at, yelled at. We're not doing this. You're out of here. You're a bad thinker. You're a wrong thinker.
Yeah. How
And,
dare you recenter whatever? We're talking about the important things right now, which is women.
Yeah. And
No,
it seems
I
like
would say in her defense, Marty sent her sort of an outline, and we were gonna like most of what I wanted to talk about was the black and white thinking around your. The problem is, I think she sort of preemptively jumped, thinking that you were changing the subject instead of kind of letting you. Because it wasn't a change of subject. It's like it's a different subject, but it is relating it directly to this subject. And
that's
all I really wanted to do was be like, look, you can't be like my opponent is ontologically evil and therefore all tactics are valid against him. But that's kind of what they do.
Yeah. No, but I think it's like, but frankly, like, I don't know, because like I've screwed up. I shit on your thing. You were doing a good job, and
well, that still came through, but
like frankly, like we just have to look at the comments that were posted on whoever it was, Latter Day Digest, that clipped it and posted it to his thing. The comments there, like that, just bared out exactly our point. And then also, because like Maven posted that thing on the pro-choice Reddit. And it was funny because like I just made one simple comment, because one thing she called us, she didn't, okay, to be fair, she didn't name us, but I think it's fair for us to assume that she was including us in who she was talking about. And this thing where she talked about like, I've been talking to extremists, and I just had a comment of like, no, you weren't talking to extremists. Everybody you were talking about has pretty moderate views on abortion, like in the grand scheme of things. You're the extremist. And I got this thing back from the Reddit mods. No, this breaks rule number 5. Be civil.
You have a subreddit telling everybody not to talk to the opposition. And you're like,
and so she
said, you're an extremist, and you said, no, you're an extremist, or like you're the bad guy.
Yeah, exactly. But then so I took the exact same comment, and then I added, the mods censored this comment citing civility. I don't think that's fair. Something like that. Like I said, like, come on. I'm not being uncivil here. You called us monsters. You called us monsters. I'm defending, whatever. And I came back with, no, you may not post that. Rule number 4, requirements for posts containing anti-choice screenshots media. A pro-choice perspective must be clearly provided in the OP. Each user is limited to 1 post per week. Additional content should be posted to our. So I'm not even breaking that rule. Like that wasn't even.
It says you're supposed to be pro-choice, though, right?
No, but it says that original posts have to be pro-choice. It wasn't. They censored my comment.
Yeah, it wasn't an original post.
So like the point is that I can tell the mod wasn't even thinking about it. Whoever the mod was not even thinking about this. They were just going click no. Click no.
So it wasn't even. So you're right. It wasn't an original post, but it also wasn't like explicitly not pro-choice, right? It was just like actually you weren't talking to extremists. That's
yeah. Because and see that's the other thing is like, frankly, in fact, you were talking to people who, by and large, are ultimately like. Do they believe that women should have access to abortions? I think for the most of us, we think, okay, yeah, something, But because they're not feminists, you think that they are misogynists who want to control women's bodies. They're, pro-birth fascists.
Oh, yeah, pro-birth fascists. That was
in fact,
can you who knows if she thought that coming in, because she might have just had like the context that we were ex-Mormons, and then there's always this concept of
no, Marty warned her.
Prior.
Marty is nice. Marty understands niceness.
Well, I wasn't like Morgan actually she texted me when she found out we were like I had reached out to Maven, and she's like, "Does she know who you are?" And I was like, "No, I don't think so." But I'll warn her. I'm not gonna ambush her. And she's like, "Yeah, that's what I was worried about. I thought you were gonna ambush her." I was like, "What kind of a dick do you think I am? We need to talk about that."
Yeah, so I don't know.
Where did I put that screenshot from? Share
There's
that
just a
one.
lot of stuff with it that, as I've always thought, has been going on with people who are basically. I know Maven's not going to listen to our follow up at any point, but Maven, you've been modding us off of Delin and Mormon Stories and Bill Real stuff since forever. But our point is that Ex Mormon World has a very, very narrow Overton window of kind of
Fascism.
leftist. You can call some of it center leftist, but leftist thought and pride.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Oh, they are.
No, it's
Chris, can you screen share those things I just posted in the message?
Sure.
In either order, it doesn't really matter, but because it's kind of relevant to what we're talking about here. But
yeah, she was pretty shaken up by Risto.
well, and see, that's another one where it's like
quote
I
did
think
he
that
give that was so bad?
The point that he gave that she didn't like was she was talking about the cases of like rape or incest, and he said, "Look, I'm pro-life. I think it's a person, and if my daughter, like God forbid, were raped and were pregnant because of it, I would try to urge her to go through with the pregnancy because I think it's a person, and I don't think you can kill a person just because a bad thing happened to you or whatever."
Yeah,
and
and Risto's in the comments, so he can answer. But like Risto never indicated like, and I believe that I should have the legal right to force her to have that baby. Like he never said that. He just said like if it was my grandchild, my preference. I think that the best solution would be.
I mean,
But
I assume Risto probably wants abortion to be illegal.
Well, in the middle of that, Trump's come out and said that he's for giving the rights back to the states.
yeah, that's the next one. But this one I just liked is like
We live
the
in
comment.
Handmaid's Tale.
There's a comment like, wait, what the hell is the correlation between clubbing and pregnancy?
Yeah, that is some.
No, like
You cannot be serious.
That is flat Earth levels of stupid. That's what that is. But this thing I think is far more telling. Is this, and like this is, I've brought it up so many times before about these supremacist ideologies, is that they can't accept good news. They can't take it. And like their reaction to this. And by the way, these screenshots that I'm sharing, because like I tried, it's funny. I tried to comment on Maven's thing, and the mods modded me out, and I gave up. But Reddit's like, oh, you must want alerts from us. So all I am doing is like, I get the alert, I push the button, I screenshot it, I send it to you guys, and it's always gold. Like I don't even have to look at it. But like,
Flip's Reddit newsfeed is entirely pro-choice and Aryans.
That's all it is now. But like, just to point out, like, I am not curating these. I've taken like 5 of these because it's only been a few days since this has started, and like, I just literally click it, screenshot, and it's always this level of evil and stupid. But this thing, Trump says abortion will be left to the states. Don't believe him. And then the first comment, absolutely not. His minions will never stand for that. His minions have been polled, and his minions, the broad consensus is that they don't like abortion, but think that they can tolerate, some level of it, like that's what his minions actually say. And then like left to the states still means bans across the country. Why? And no, it doesn't. Scott right Adams now, there are many states like
Scott Adams said he thought it was a genius move because it just deflates it as a big polarizing talking point.
Yeah, that's what
it
really is.
Over the last election period, 2 years ago or a year and a half, that the blue wave or red wave that never happened was because everybody got supercharged about coming out to vote for abortion. And Scott Adams says, well, this just deflates that.
Yeah.
Which might have truth to it.
Risto's comment. Highlight that one, the latest one.
Well,
no, he's
so there's
right
stuff
about
like
that.
that's
One
coming
of
out. Have
my
you guys followed at all the Fresh and Fit drama?
yes, that is so
No.
funny. I love it when red pill fucking douchebags have to eat
Yeah,
crow
it's
on
pretty
this.
goofy that these guys who've been like, it's kind of like one of those whatever podcasts where they bring on women and just chastise them for body count and all that sorts of stuff. And one of the main guys from it was
He's a simp. He's such a simp. It's a funny shit. I love because here's the thing with red pill shit. I'm on board with shitting on simps. That's the funniest stuff ever because simps are pathetic. They do anything for sex. They're not trustworthy. And then this dude turns out to be just the biggest massive simp ever. It's the funniest thing.
Yeah, so he supposedly knocked up some chick who's probably a sex worker, and
They have video of her propositioning someone.
yeah, here they were trying to debunk
Yeah,
it.
I didn't know who
debunk it
you were
all.
talking about. I only saw that little clip, but boy, howdy, that was funny.
But it's been kind of funny because there's been a bunch of weird stuff going on in the right in the middle of all of this. It's not like watch this
They're having a
mavens
breakdown.
of the world. Like one of the things about what we can do is we can look at the extremes of the right and say, what the hell are those guys doing? Which would be
Yeah.
awesome if anybody on the left could do that.
No,
at
I
all.
mean, because the 8 years of Obama, I remember because for one thing, then like now, I hardly knew any conservatives, but what little ones I was like, guys, get a grip, like just the way the Republicans treated Obama and were just completely obstructionist, pushing the birther stuff, all this just dumb distractions,
No,
It's
that's
like,
I
God, you
remember
guys
when
suck.
so I didn't really pay much attention to politics in high school, but I remember how there's two things that really happened. There was the whole Prop 8 thing, making a big deal about that, and then there's how Republicans treated Obama. Those two things. When I remember I got home from my mission, my friends are talking politics with me. I was like, I don't really pay much attention to it. I guess I'm probably liberal. And they're like, don't say that because they're getting pretty retarded. And I was like, well, I don't know, because all I could remember, all I really paid attention to is I remember that time the Republicans made a massive deal about Obama's fucking suit. Like,
Yeah.
shut the fuck up.
Yeah, no,
My
yeah. 'Cause,
God.
Republicans got completely, utterly, stupidly retarded over Obama, and that's just because I'll never forget. Because I remember when Obama was over, and then and Trump won. I had this brief idiotic moment where I'm like, okay, well now we'll return to normal level of discourse from the left, and it's and I was like, oh, because that's the thing is as idiotic as every stupid principle trampling hypocritical lie that Republicans on a whole told to try to just obstruct Obama and nothing else. The Democrats took that and turned it all up all the way. And then just doubled down on every single thing.
Yeah, well, that's just kind of general politics. This is weird crap going on the right as we speak that actually kind of lines up with all the abortion stuff. It's kind of like both sides are losing their minds, which is what always tends to seem to happen, it seems like. But first off, these fresh and fit idiots, what's been going on is, so all these dingbats, they're kind of, in a weird way, these whatever type podcast guys are strangely kind of culturally winning, if that makes any sense. Like they're fleshing out maybe a little bit in a home-ath way that a bunch of the weird crap from the women in the world is a bunch of BS and delusional and all that sorts of stuff of types of things that they expect from men and all that sorts of deals. But what happens is a bunch of these guys, they start getting any sort of clout or anything. They start acting like some top 10% dude and they go around banging the chicks. And then as soon as they're going around doing all that sorts of stuff, they decide that they're an upper level aristocrat and it's a little bit like a reverse luxury belief from Rob Henderson, because all of a sudden for them, it's okay to bang a bunch of chicks and ask for abortions and all that sorts of stuff, as long as in the rest of their private life, they're preaching, Christ-filled, get married, never have abortions, have a family, all that sorts of stuff. and they're just being exposed as douchebags on one level and layer of that. And strangely enough, in the middle of that, there's been a thing just this past week. If you follow like any sort of right-wing female, like Lauren Southern or Alex Kashuda or this other girl called Radfem Hitler, yeah, they've been coming out and talking about they're getting the ick from all of these overly exuberant right-wing guys who are basically kind of like winning in the culture war and just saying these women are stupid trash, we just bring them all and that sort of stuff. And now there's like a movement of these right-wing women who are coming out and saying, hey, we're checking out of this right-wing stuff. Like they're in a strange way kind of sounding like typical feminist type stuff, you know, and checking out from them because they're overreacting and they're getting too spazzy with the way these guys have pwned the women, making them all look like idiots on these like whatever type podcasts.
Well, I don't know. So that's what pisses me off about whatever, because there's some funny like clips you get. The only whatever I've ever watched was the Trent Horn abortion debate with Destiny. But like I get YouTube shorts of them all the time, and it's always the stupidest fucking woman you could possibly find, and like some guy that's actually pretty smart, and like they're acting like this woman is representative of all women, and this dude, like, he's just fucking mean to her until she rage quits, and then he thinks he won. It's Andrew Wilson. He's done it several times, and those are the ones that get pushed through to me. Those are the ones that go viral, and so now every time a guest is on there, the guest has an incentive to be a massive cunt to all of the admittedly whores that come on there, and just until they run off crying.
But
yeah, and then you get think pieces like this one from Lauren Southern. It's like an hour long of conservative sensitivity training. Next thing you know, she starts sounding like some sort of I don't know, goofy feminist in the middle of all of it, and then she gets mad that they call her a feminist. And then she has
Lauren
like the
gonna
other
be
videos.
A gen mother.
There's all the stuff where the men just 100% side with Crowder. That's all going on in the middle of stuff, and they're all saying, why are you siding with Crowder? That's just you men jumping on this same concept. We saw Actual Justice Warrior come out with a thing talking about Tim Pool and everybody talking about getting rid of no fault divorce.
Tim Pool sounded fucking insane in that.
Yeah, I didn't follow any of that.
Like I never watched Tim Pool. I don't like him that much, but like he sounded fucking nuts in that. Like we're losing this sight of things that ought to be like things that are immoral, like things you shouldn't do versus things that you should be forced to not do, right? So that I agree with Tim Pool that you should view your marriage as it should not end unless it absolutely has to end. You should save it as much as you possibly can. But he's then saying, and that should be the law. The judge should tell you, like, no, you got to live together. Like, what are you fucking are you Catholic now?
That's one of those things where it's like, I don't know how you put that cat back in the bag, you know?
No,
like,
you don't. You can't. And that's illiberal.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Yeah, that's my point of all this is like stuff gets all weird on both sides, and then it strangely turns back into horseshoe theory type stuff.
Yeah.
Let me show you something from this. These are two kind of very famous Twitter personalities of hard right-wing women, like dissident right, hardcore, right? Listen to first off, they go on here and complain about all of the people like Bronze Age pervert and the people who are just kind of or like Tate and the whatever people are just come out and saying, yeah, get the women, bang the women. Women should be the traditional one, but men, especially if you're like some high value man, you should be able to do what you want with the women type stuff. And so then they go on and have the degradation of men and women, you know, complaining about how conservative men are starting to act online because they're kind of getting like a big head about them. But then listen to how it circles back at the end here. I want to show you this. Hold on. Oh, it's towards the end. So at the end of it, these two ostensible hardcore right wing women. Oh, come on. Well, anyway, I'll find the clip here in a second. But what happens is, like at the end of it, they ask her like, "Who are a couple people that you've been reading that all you guys should read, all you hardcore right-wing people?" And she suggests Andrea Dworkin and Salinas. She suggests reading like the worst of the worst, like radical
Andrea
feminists
Dworkin
to all
is-
these. You know,
wow.
it's like it goes
Jesus.
full horseshoe circle all the
Whoa.
way back around to the hard worst of the radical feminists.
That's the thing. If you're retarded, your only choice if you need to move is to be retarded in the other direction. Like
Yeah.
these people think that those are the only two options. You can't be reasonable. You got like I thought women should stay in the kitchen. I thought men should be able to cheat on women, and women shouldn't be able to cheat on men, and women should shut up and not have the right to vote. But now I realize I was wrong, and that all men are trash, and we should believe all women indiscriminately.
Yeah, I figured out what it is. That wasn't the whole video. That's a clip. Hold on. It's going to be in this one. So do you know who Salinas is? Valeria Salinas?
No.
We've talked about her before. She's that freaking psycho who tried to assassinate the soup can guy. What's his freaking name?
What?
Oh, it's Scum Manifesto.
Yeah. Yep. She
Actually tried to kill someone?
Andy Warhol.
he tried to kill Andy Warhol, and she was a
The lady
super
shot
nut.
Andy
And Andrea
Warhol.
Dworkin is the one who says all sex is rape. And
Yeah.
these guys, these two ostensible big names of the right, these like Alex Kashuda, I saw her one time come down on James Lindsay for James Lindsay being too much of a leftist. You know what I mean? And
Lord.
now she's sitting here suggesting Dworkin and oh, come on.
How long do you think it is before like we're done being called racist and bigots and then we start being called like gay loving race mixers?
Yeah. I mean, it's just so funny how it just goes right back. Oh, come on. Maybe it wasn't on this clip either. Or it doesn't read it. Oh, you're kidding me. Anyway, just trust me on that. These far right idiots go all the way back around to suggesting that you read the worst of the worst hard rad feminists. But there's a whole thing like that going on the right, that all these women on the right are saying these right-wing men are giving them the ick type stuff.
The ick.
Then in the meantime, over on TikTok, there's this thing called the soft boy era. Have you been following the soft boy era at all?
No, I heard you mention it, but
So this is like a little bit in a weird way, like the home ass stuff. And it's not home ass fault, but he's just pointing out, but it like broke very mainstream in the sort of sense that all these guys started like playing pranks, saying to all these women, like, I'm going to be in my soft boy era now. And they're soft boy era, and they start talking on TikTok like women talk about dating. I'll show you one of them. Hold on. There's this girl who would talk about getting all you can money wise on TikTok, and she'd go sparkle, 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 sparkle. So you guys started saying drizzle, drizzle, and demanding from women stuff from, and it's huge. It's like all over. So you watch this.
Women have said for hundreds of years that men age like a fine wine. Well, baby girl, fine wines are expensive. Drizzle, drizzle. Get ready to spend. If you can't give me your flyer miles to take me somewhere that I haven't been yet, which is 24 countries, then it just shows me that you don't value fine wine. Drizzle, drizzle. It means you've never had it. You've never been good enough to have it. You've never been able to afford it. And if you can't afford a fine wine or never have it, how can I trust you to treat me right like the fine wine that I am? Drizzle, drizzle. You see, I'm a business owner. I've been around. I'm in the soft guy era. I need a girl that's doing better than me. I already have 150 properties in Airbnb. I've already made $10 million. I need something new to me. If you don't have 300 properties, 4 Bugattis.
Ladies, did you mean to sit here and tell me that you girl boss too close to the sun? And you out here telling me you love me to the moon and back? What's coffee date energy, baby? These ain't coffee date shoulders, huh? You best be booking nice-ass reservations at a nice-ass restaurant. I realized I don't like you 1 minute in. I could ghost you with the bill because you knew the risk you would take. Drizzle.
The
Check this guy out.
okay, did they actually say sparkle sparkle like that?
The female, the woman who does it actually does. She says, "Get their money out of your date. Sparkle, 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 sparkle." She got huge on TikTok.
Well, it happened again. This time it was really bad. So I'm at the grocery store. It's the Market Basket in Plymouth, Massachusetts, and I'm in the drinks aisle. And this woman came up to me, and she came up to me the right way. And the first thing she said was, "Do you have Cash App or Venmo?" I says, "Yeah, I've got Venmo." And she, I think you're really attractive. I'd like that. I says, "Okay." So we took. I got the $20 from Venmo, and we chatted for a minute. And she's asking me questions, and we're talking about I'm shopping for the week because the kids are coming for next week is Dad's week. They're with them this week, split custody, and divorced and what have you, and co-parenting. And then you're involved, blah blah blah. Would you like to spend a date tonight? Well, yeah, I'm free. You can do that, but you're gonna have to pay $250 for the kids for the babysitter. And she laughed and she said, "But you just told me that they're with the mum this week." I was like, "Well, yeah, I've still got to pay child support. I mean, she doesn't babysit the kids. These are my children." And she wouldn't accept that as reasonable. She was being really I said, "You know what? Let's forget about it. You're obviously a brokey." And I walked away. And she picked up a jug of Arizona iced tea and clocked me right across the back of the head with it. I mean, knocked me to the ground. I didn't lose consciousness, but I was on the ground. And the thing is, not one woman. There must have been 8 other women in that drinks aisle who just watched her do that, and not one of them came to my assistance. It's literally, I'm not saying it's all women, but I'm not saying it's all women, but it's always women.
Jesus.
Back in TikTok.
The males have started saying drizzle, drizzle, like
it's war.
the males have started saying drizzle, drizzle, like sprinkle, sprinkle. It's a new generation of men.
That's her.
Are so feminine. Drizzle, drizzle. I thought they was talking about Drake. It doesn't stick as good as sprinkle, sprinkle.
Oh, yes, it do.
Sound like Drake.
Wait, does she have her Cash App on her name?
Yeah, and a bunch of different women have started doing this too.
Jesus Christ! Whoever started that trend should seppuku.
Can't even talk.
Well, what I'm talking about here, just kind of pointing at all this, is like stuff's a damn mess out there, man.
Right. She got to do the sprinkle, sprinkle. She got the little stuff in her mouth or her face or whatever. I think it's Botox. I don't know what it is, but fellas, it is wartime. Drizzle, drizzle versus sprinkle, sprinkle. We're getting this roll. The thing is, if you was in my live, I said I was going to start trolling Shira. But it looks like it already has reached her, and the trolling will start tomorrow. This is crazy. You got to love it, man. It's about that time, fellas. We doing it. We doing it big. Drizzle, drizzle.
It's huge. It's like all over TikTok.
You started a trend for old Frank Sinatra here. He says now anytime he talks to a lady, he's gonna say drizzle, drizzle, baby.
Yeah, it's goofy, but it's funny. But I mean, what's funny about it though is that it's so mainstream, and it really is kind of guys going off of that home ass stuff of saying like, hey, you got to pay for me. Hey, you got to do like talking to the women the same way that women talk to men about.
It's pretty hilarious.
Cash oriented or something like that.
No, it's pretty hilarious how they don't really see how fucking dumb they look until a man does it, Because if I show this to any woman, they'd be like, that guy looks fucking dumb.
How?
And way more like
How?
because girls are fighting for like equality.
You said you're independent.
I think they're the prize.
We are.
Nobody's chasing you.
You are.
Nobody's.
You are. I'm not gonna lie. All I heard was I'm broke. I'm broke. I'm broke. It'd be the same girl saying, I don't need a man. I don't need shit from a man. I'm an independent mommy. Like, what do I need a man for? Okay. Move in alignment with that. Why do you keep fucking talking? Right? Now that I'm in my soft guy era, I'm starting to realize you guys actually do need us. We actually are the prize. You guys beg us, when are you going to take me serious? Never. How about that? Never. I'm never taking you serious because you're not paying for anything. You're just broke as shit, and then you want me to take you serious and date you. No. Pick up a bill. Once you pick up a bill, now we can start to talk. Women start complaining, oh, these men don't want commitment. I wonder why, because you're broke. Why would I want to be committed to a broke bitch? What the fuck is that? Some of y'all women are actually super disturbing. How can your whole outfit be from Shein or Fashion Nova and you're asking me for a Chanel bag? Right? You should figure out how you can see if you can work at FedEx to get your fucking money up.
You wanna be.
Yeah.
Jesus, man. So I got added to some random ex-Mormon group chat on Facebook, and one of the ladies there was talking about how did you guys always grow up, the men in the group, did you grow up just think like other Mormon men, thinking that you were the prize? And I was just like, what fucking world did you live in? That you thought that the average Mormon man thought he was the prize. See, the message I got from Mormonism growing up, from all of the men in Mormonism growing up, was you are fucking lucky if this woman deigns to give you even a moment of her time. Like, your dad is a bumbling idiot, and he is so lucky that your mom felt so bad for him that she went for it and lifts him up to her level. He married up. I was like, no, my dad is a good man. My mom is a good woman. They married laterally. And God.
The message from church is a woman in your life is a blessing that you don't deserve, you piece of shit. Be grateful.
Yes.
That's what the church's message was.
And then the problem is the chat is full of a bunch of male feminists who are trying to get their dicks wet because they don't know how else to do it other than sucking up to women and simping. So they're just like, yeah, that's what I received. I thought that at one point. Well, the other guys might have thought that. I didn't think that I was the prize, but that's because I was a little bit different. I was a feminist my whole life, really. And please touch my pee-pee.
Where was this Jared last week when I needed someone else to be yelling at that poor lady?
He was doing Socratic method. He was doing it right.
I understood Chris a lot more in that, because I remember thinking, man, Chris is really quiet during this Kwaku episode. I was like, oh, it's because he's
trying to be strategic.
He's
he's
running this, and he doesn't want everybody to be bombarding Kwaku.
Yeah, he's being all Sun Tzu.
I talked a lot less than I would have.
Here's this age-old thing popping up again.
Oh God!
Some chick comes up. I'm going on a 6 strike till Roe v. Wade is restored. Who's with me?
Yeah, Morgan actually told me she's pretty sure that Chris is what's holding us back, because last time we had RFM in the chat, and
we did.
Yeah, we actually did.
Wow. So if I disappeared right now, will RFM pop up?
I bet John DeLynn would pop up.
Oh my goodness gracious! Will he look like? I don't know if I can share these yet. I'm gonna share it anyway. Will he look like? This?
I'm so mad that none of us thought to suggest that sooner. Like, that is it might be my favorite of all of the styles that he's put into this stuff. It's so fucking awesome.
Rista says what the society needed to get our asses kicked in a world war. I think he's on to something, because kind of what I'm pointing at there, and I'd say the same thing to Maven, is that the way stuff is between the sexes is a hot mess right now. And you should take a moment to understand that the reason it always devolves back, I shouldn't say revolves back, or goes through a cycle of pride back to some sort of enforced monogamy or societally enforced monogamy, is because all this stuff with kids and abortion and money and paying and who belongs to who and what's a sexual assault and is not a sexual assault all gets mediated by that. And we land on that ostensibly conservative position only because it's a Chesterton fence thing. It's not because we're sitting here trying to control a woman's body. It's because there's a million and one problems in society, and they all break out as soon as we think we can have this wackadoo sexual revolution. It's just a lie. And you don't have to be a current Mormon to see that it's a lie to think that we can just think our ways out of that sorts of stuff. The conservative general view of babies matter, having families matter, having families that care and stop and take care of each other and commit to each other matter is a universal phenomenon. You don't have to be like I saw Kara and what's her name, Britt, have a whole thing, and the whole first hour of it, I think they said deconstructed 7,150 times.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
And there's never like a concept of stopping and deconstructing that you're deconstructing, or deconstructing like how much of a shitbag trash hole society turns into when you deconstruct these types of things. And what I thought you guys did a good job of in that debate is just asking questions that should have made them stop and go, wait a minute, like, wait a minute. Like, who's responsible when? Who is responsible when?
Yeah.
What point is their life? At one point is it killing?
Well, one of the things that I realize is
basic questions that left side's gotten so soft on thinking about.
Yeah.
That as soon as somebody asks them, it's like, what are you talking about? When is the baby a human? You know, like, come on, like, how do you not know right the moment you think that baby's a person? I remember you guys were asking about like the late trimester, and they have to go off into a thing of saying like, well, nobody does that.
It's sexist of you to even ask.
So what? What is? Yeah. You had to explain to her what a philosophical question was.
No, so one of the things I've noticed when talking to the pro-choicers and pro-choicers are actually, this is one of the ways that pro-choicers are worse than pro-lifers, is that they avoid any confrontation. And so their ideas are just not refined. And one of the things they don't do is they don't take their opponent at his word to at least even a tiny bit of a degree, because you can't beat a pro-lifer in debate if you don't first assume that he thinks it's a baby that shouldn't be killed. Because you keep saying things like, oh, you just want to control women's bodies or whatever. Yeah. Like, you think that the woman's body doesn't matter. And I always tell them, I think that it's wrong to kill the mother's body too. Luckily, that's already illegal. I think it's wrong to kill the infant's body. That's not illegal. And that's what we're talking about right now. And they say, oh, so you don't care about autonomy. I'm like, no, you're not even granting me, because if you granted me that, oh, okay, obviously he thinks that this fetus is a human being and shouldn't be killed. That means I have to convince him that this fetus is not a human being, or that it's okay to kill this specific type of human being. Those are the things that I have to convince him right now. But they don't even think that. That doesn't even occur to them.
Yeah, I'll be right back. Keep going, but I can hear what you're
saying. I
saying.
also have decided recently, so in the last few years, when I was really sort of learning the difference between utilitarianism and deontology, I would try to sort of pigeonhole people into, oh, he's more of a utilitarian thinker, and he's more of a deontological thinker. And I'd always be like, I'm more of a deontological thinker, or whatever. But what I'm kind of realizing talking to people is that there's people are generally things that they are for, they will use utilitarian arguments in favor of it, and then right up once it comes to something that they're against, they will use deontological arguments against them. So like, if I were to explain, like, Maven might tell me that crime rates go down when abortion is legal, and that's a utilitarian argument, right? You're just saying that, like, the average level of happiness in society, that the goodness goes up because of this thing, whether or not that thing is evil, we don't talk about, because that's deontological thinking. And then if I were to tell her that, like, okay, well, let's do enforced monogamy. If we did enforced monogamy, like, sure, there would be a couple women in society, maybe a 2% of women who are married, who are trapped now in miserable marriages. They're trapped in miserable marriages, but everybody else, the other 98% of people, are
not
trapped,
miserable.
and they have to work it out, and they're not miserable. She
Yeah.
all of a sudden would become
and the 2%
deontological.
are happy.
Yeah. And so the 2% are miserable, the 98% are happy. And so all of a sudden she'd become deontological and
No,
say,
no,
it's
2%
just
miserable,
deontologically.
2% happy. Everybody else just grinding through life.
All of a sudden she would become deontological and say, no, it's actually just completely like principally wrong to force people into a marriage.
I mean,
and
like,
I agree with you. It's wrong to force people into. I'm deontological in that area.
Well, like no, like because one of the many things like of years of arguing with feminists is this whole thing where it's like, you know, like it just putting this question to them is one of those things where it's like, you know, you want to control women's bodies because you thought that thought and put it in the form of a question. But like, you know, like a guy like me who like, I think that abortion should be legal. I think it should be private. I think don't judge women, right? Like I don't, it's not my body, like all those things. But like, if you ask me, if there were fewer abortions, would that be better? And I think I have to say yes. I think just in total numbers, like not even getting to the nitty-gritty details. I think it would be better if there were overall less abortions, and I think more abortions is less good, you know. And for one thing, it's like I think it's an indicator, like it's like a societal indicator that things might be moving in a direction that's good or bad. But like for feminism, you can't even like that idea, like to even raise the idea to suggest that like, well, what if like just that? What if women should have a legal right to abortion? It's private, it's personal, it's a personal choice. But what if sometimes an abortion isn't a bad idea? Is it possible? Is it possible that sometimes an abortion is not the best solution for everyone involved? That there might be a better solution that involves that child getting born, you know. But like, yeah, with feminism, you just can't even cross that fucking line. You know, they get upset.
Well, it's kind of honestly like I feel like it's a very difficult issue because Louis C.K. outlined it really well when he's talking about abortion. His 2017 special was fucking great. He's like, you're either taking a shit or you're killing a baby. Those are kind of the only two options.
Yeah, no, that's one of the things I kind of tried to point out to Nathan.
But what I'm getting at is like they have to view it as taking a shit, right? And I have to view it as killing a baby. That's kind of I don't know how to be in the middle of that, because if they're saying it's taking a shit, then it's taking a shit all the way through, right? Because we got her. And that's the thing is we got her to sort of admit that if in Risto's hypothetical, or no, your hypothetical of the lady that's like 7.5 months pregnant and she wants to go to her Mexico thing. Like
I didn't even put an age on the pregnancy. I just said like she's pregnant and she's made an appointment for an abortion.
Yeah. No, so she said if that 8 month pregnant woman got an abortion, that's fine. That's her body. It's her choice. I wouldn't like it. And then I was like, why wouldn't you like it?
Yeah, just that. Like,
why? And she was like, I guess I don't know why I'd like it. And
see, that's okay. Like, yeah. But yeah, it's just like that whole thing where it's like you say, if it's taking a shit, you know, like I remember I pressed her on that little bit. Is like, if it's okay, like if we're totally not supposed to judge, then it's okay for us to talk about it, you know, because that's one of those things that feminism pulls, is that bullshit where they're like, you know, it's just a clump of cells, it's taking a shit. It's like, okay, then we're allowed to talk about like, okay, ladies, if you are a slut and go clubbing, be prepared to take a lot of shits. You know, like,
wait a minute. Are you telling me there might be a relationship between unwanted pregnancies and clubbing? What the fuck would that relationship be?
Is there a correlation between having lots of promiscuous sex and unwanted pregnancy?
What? Oh my god. I think so. One of the great parts about bringing up
take a lot of shits. That's why you're like, come back. Oh god.
We're talking Louis C.K.
I heard it all.
Yeah. Okay. No, they so it's kind of, you're bringing up this soft boy era stuff, and it's really funny to me because the more this shit comes out, the more I'm like, man. So race relations need to be good, right? In order to be a cohesive nation, we need to have good race relations. But that pales in comparison to how much we need sex relations. Like Men and women need to fucking get along.
Yeah, it's a dang mess out there. And part of
I
what I
think
was
it's
pointing out
worse.
there is that it's a dang mess on the right, and it really is. We're not saying it isn't, Maven. I'm not saying there isn't the hypocrites that you claim are out there. I don't think anybody was. But part of the argumentation on the pro-choice side is acting like the only abortions that are ever had are dire circumstances, and that's nowhere near what most of the abortions are about. Like,
Yeah, Riso corrected you, Kevin. He let you know that you are a current clump of cells. Cells.
Oh, I thought that only
there's no way around
in,
that most
in utero.
abortions. Most abortions are a form of birth control. There's no way around it. It's just the numbers just bear it out.
Yeah, no, like,
But
and that's
we're always
one of those things
arguing
where
the
it's like,
fringe cases.
it's one of those like you're an asshole for noticing, you know.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of what you were getting at when you were talking about the LGBTQ suicides. And it's one of the things that people will say, Flip came in like Flip Roy Jenkins or something like that, right? But Jonathan made a post about it later, and he was understanding of the concept of we've been in this for 20 years, and I'm somebody who witnessed Flip take 10 years of trying to say it calmly. You know I only saw 10 of
I'm
them.
glad I have a witness. Like,
No, I get that. There's definitely a difference because it takes a toll. Because I've been doing this for I've been arguing with feminists online for probably about 10 years now. And so I'm like, I don't know where I'd be in another 10 years.
But part of what Flip's point was, and it's one of the things that we noticed too, and it's where stuff really blew up with us, is it's not even the argument. It's not even the main argument where the blow up happens. It's discussing some of the facts about the argument that, just discussing the facts of what the majority of abortions are, discussing the facts of, do we have data that these suicides were caused by, John DeLynn said multiple times, I have clips, but I probably don't need to pull them up because he just says this. He keeps saying that the general conference puts people in emergency rooms, and so that sort of stuff where you say, well, where's the source for it? Just if it's us who's on the side of saying, what's the source, or what's the data, or the data doesn't say that, or we noticed something, that's where the freak out comes out. The freak out comes out before the argument's even made. The freak out's just that trying to discuss some data.
like me trying to post to the pro-choice Reddit is like, the freak out happened because I tried to participate.
Yeah, and we know that's true, but we also know that sort of debate has to happen on our small little channel where nobody's going to see it because they can't even platform it. They can't even platform DeLynn. I mean, we started all the way back with DeLynn feigning that he was going to have people like us to discuss the opposing side of what John Larson just spews out willy-nilly, this leftist view of everything. He said, well, maybe we'll one time possibly have an opposing thought to any of this sort of stuff. Maybe, and it still never happened to this day. And we know that you're not allowed to do it because you can't even platform it, or you guys are ostensibly associated with it and terrible yourselves for it. Did you watch the debate, Kevin?
Yeah. I was
what did you think? Were you convinced by Maven?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I got my appointment set up with my hairstylist this week to go blue. So
Kevin's got
an appointment to abort your kids.
Kevin's got 6 years. Punch card, I think. I think his punch card is fully. It's next abortion free.
I didn't watch the video after, no, Risto. But yeah, I watched the debate. It was highly entertaining.
It was a fun time.
I was wishing, man, I wish I would have got in on that one.
Yeah, it was a fun one. It didn't turn out quite like I wanted it to, just because I didn't plan on that many people being. I didn't know Flip was going to be there at all.
Yeah, well, that's the main thing. You didn't plan on Flip being there.
Nobody in this world planned on Flip.
He's just I gotta get on this one. Clear my.
No, I know that's
I'm doing.
The whole chat. Like, he was listening to it, and the whole chat
awesome.
was like telling him, "Flip, get the fuck on here." And I'm gonna ask him, but
Well,
I
as
think
soon
he
as
blew-
as soon as I saw him pop in there, I was like, "Oh yeah, here it
No,
comes."
I know. See,
But to be
sitting
fair,
there-
I saw Casey's Flip-Roy Jenkins post, and I was like, I gotta get on that shit and watch
I
it
know.
tomorrow.
I'm sitting here like trying to have a discussion. We already had more people than I thought because Maven was on there and Marty was on there, and I planned on Maven first, but she wanted to go eat some food. So I was like, oh, okay. And then I tried to make it last, which is me and Marty, but I was mostly wanting to talk about the Maven stuff. I didn't want to talk about it before we talked to her. And so then I invited Risto on, and so I didn't plan on having Risto on while Maven was on. And then all of a sudden I see I see in the waiting room Flip pops up. I was like, well, fuck.
Went downhill from there.
Oh,
No way. Wasn't bad.
Dude,
Dude,
it made it awesome, man.
After listening to it again, it was not as bad as I thought it was.
No, it was,
I mean,
it was outstanding.
Because that's like I don't know. I mean, I don't know.
And I love to see
mixed feelings about it.
I loved seeing the count of people watching jump from just dozens to like over 200, and I was like, yeah, this is the kind of audience I want.
Did it really?
This, to hear.
Oh yeah, no,
look at how many of them
I think Maven brought a
like
lot
that's
of.
what
lot of
all
people.
the show is when that's all
They're
the
back
20
to hear how other ways that are wrong. I'm sure.
I thought it was
because
only
like I was
30.
I don't know because
I'm sure they were giving her the struggle session after for just coming on. That's probably why she had to post a video real fast.
Yeah, I wonder. No, yeah, because like I was backstage at the rehearsal for the thing I did this last weekend.
Were you planning on coming on after that? Because I just saw.
Well, the thing is, I don't know. I don't remember what I told Chris. I just know that because like
you said maybe
the whole thing's like I don't know how
Oh.
long rehearsal will go. Like
I see.
it
I
won't go
thought you just
very
weren't
long, but,
planning
like-
on jumping on at all. And I saw you in the chat. You called me gay at one point, which was fun to try to explain. And then he asked me if I was gay because of something, and I was like, no, it's because of all that cock that I suck. And then
I said.
And then the whole chat was like, "Flip, come on, Flip, come on." And I was like,
I didn't see too much of it because so like while you guys were on, when you guys started, like I was listening to bits and pieces in between when I needed to be on the stage for rehearsals, and then like and the other thing is because like I said, I didn't know how long it was going to go, but it worked out to where it was done and I was able to put my stuff away and then get back in time to well, we know what happened.
Yeah, I couldn't listen to any of it till after I was playing a gig, and then I saw everything blew up, and I was like, "Whoa!" Then I stayed up pretty late listening to it.
No, that's because like I don't know. I hope I get to talk to Maven more about this because also like talking in private, I think also.
I don't think the feeling is mutual, Flip.
No, I don't know. Like I said, I talked to her in private, and the conversation went better than I thought it would. By a long way.
Here's another thing too. Is I thought she held her own for some of the points of view and stuff, and being bombarded and all that sorts of stuff.
No,
I don't know why that side of the world can't engage in more arguments like that. I think we'd get better. We'd all refine ourselves better if we were actually doing that.
No, she was. I thought. And I have to give her mega credit, because that was a hard conversation to jump into.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys were charitable, but it was still. Like I said in the comments afterward, she would have been outnumbered for Flip, But
but the problem is like, look,
she was
feminism is to society as flat Earth is to geology. Yeah. Like as long as you're in that realm, you've hobbled yourself.
But she was pretty honest in a lot of ways, though.
No,
I thought that was great.
I mean, in my private conversation with her, I told her that she showed an enormous amount of intellectual and emotional fortitude that I was not expecting. Like,
yeah,
also that's part of what I say. Like I say she's one paradigm shift away from not being feminist anymore.
Well,
I would have expected just like a.
She hasn't heard the anti-feminist lies, like she's been told not to listen to the anti-feminist lies, and she hasn't. And because a lot of that stuff that a lot of the stuff we brought up, like Risto brought up a couple of things, you brought up a couple of things, even some of the stuff I brought up, I was like, this is kind of pointless in bringing up because there's no way she hasn't heard this yet. But she did seem like, oh, okay, that's actually interesting. And I'm like, really? That okay?
Yeah. Well, anyway, I mean, I thought it was all ultimately pretty good. I didn't think it was like that rough at all. The flip was a bit direct. I know more direct than they're used to dealing with, but direct about how stupid feminism is, you know. But I also appreciate that she had a chance to hear that a little bit. But
Yeah.
how about this? Did you guys see this? Are you able to see the screen? Did you follow what happened with Michael Knowles and KSL? Can you see that?
Oh yeah. I heard he retweeted the
the Daily
Yeah.
Wire.
Oh, wait,
Like, all the
So-
Daily Wire is gonna join the church here pretty quick.
Yeah. So it says KSL posts, far-right political commentator Michael Knowles spoke at the University of Utah College of Social Work Monday evening. Read more. So Mike Lee asks, I wonder if KSL can define far-right for us. I wonder if KSL has used far left to describe any progressive commentators. Just questions I have while considering their calls for civility. Then Michael Knowles goes, when I first saw it, I actually hadn't realized KSL.com was affiliated with the LDS Church. That does make it especially strange. Although these days the left seems to have its tentacles in even the conservative religious institutions. And then he says, I'm no expert on LDS theology, but as far as politics goes, I agree with every single political prescription in this document. Does that make me far right, LDS far right, or far left and out of step with the putative, or KSL.com far left and out of step with the putative church? And it's the family proclamation of the world.
And I added the correction on one thread that he forgot to add in Desnat.
But I mean, that ultimately like fleshes that exact sort of thing out. I mean, that's the exact question everybody's asking, right? Is Desnat hard alt-right, or just because they reaffirm what everybody thought was basic ass stuff in the 90s, the family proclamation of the world, and now that's alt-right.
I mean, there's some of them that like Brock Sutton guy seems legitimately racist. But
yeah, if they're Desnatters, but so
but
many
yeah,
other
that's the
people,
problem
I
is
would
then you
say
just
Jim
start-
Bennett
because-
tries to hint at any affirmation of the family proclamation is Desnat.
No, he doesn't try to hint at it. He outright states it. Like that's the thing is that I would say when I think of Desnat before Jim Bennett retarded everything up, I'd think of that Brock guy, and I've seen him talk before, and he has actual racist views that I think you would want to distance yourself from. But then Jim Bennett comes on, and he's like anybody who calls the family proclamation of the world doctrine is far right or at least far right adjacent, which what the fuck does that even mean? Right. But I'm like, oh, you're actually just you're doing a lot more harm to a cause that you seem to think is valuable to you. You seem to think that fighting racism is valuable, and you're fucking that up right now by conflating people who just believe in their religion, the thing that their prophet proclaimed as part of their religion. You're conflating them with like actual racists. And so now it means nothing. And we've all heard this song and dance before. We already know what it means. We already have been called racist and transphobic and all that stuff until it means nothing. We used to try to explain ourselves. I remember trying to explain myself, trying to be like, actually, I don't think what I said was racist because, and now I'm like, I just say, no, the thing you said's wrong. That's it. I
was thinking about those, and then like there's real similarity in that because like for a long time I felt like when I was arguing with religious people, like my argument wasn't about like your dumb church is dumb and wrong. It was me trying to convince them like no, I really don't believe in God. Like I get that you have your faith thing and good, I don't care. But you keep saying like, because Cardin and Jacob, they pull this thing. It's like, no, I don't have enough faith to be an atheist, all that dumb shit. And with feminists, like, it's kind of the same thing where it's like, no, I really don't hate women. And I really don't want to control their bodies. Like,
did you ever watch God? Did you ever watch God's Not Dead?
A long time ago, yeah.
So Kevin Sorbo's
I watched
character,
the sequel. I think I watched the sequel too.
The first one's the best. They get the problem is they get more and more realistic as time goes on. But
so they have the opposite problem of Police Academy.
Yeah. No, there's 4 of them, right? And the second one was a little bit more realistic, but still not really in the realm of reality. The third one was actually pretty realistic, and then the fourth one is like they're trying to ban homeschooling. Basically, you're like, yeah, they are, but no, the first one, Kevin Sorbo's character, he's an atheist, and he like the highest. The climax of the movie is when the guy corners the college kid corners him and in the debate and says, why do you hate God? And he's like, I don't hate God, I don't believe in God. It's like, no, why do you hate God? And he finally breaks and he goes, because he took everything from me.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's what you
coming
think
back
an
to me.
atheist is. You're insane. You think
But
an
that's
atheist
the same thing as
actually
like
just hates God. And that's exactly what this shit is. Like,
Yeah, no,
you
like, 'cause
think
that's
at
like-
some point I'm gonna snap in this debate and be like, because I hate women and I want to control their bodies.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Because that's the other thing. Because especially for me, where it's like, because I know a lot of people who are just like, just apathetic, like what's Bill Maher say, the apatheist, where it's like I just don't care. Because like for me, it's like because like I like God, like it's a neat idea. I'm fascinated by religion. Like when I was in England, I went to so many churches. I spent so much time in church on vacation because I'm just fascinated by it. It was great, but like the whole like the literal God thing, like I don't believe that, but that but just that, like where feminists and the Cardinalises of the world have the same problem, where it's like if you're not on board with me, you must hate me, like there's on board and there's hostile, like, and those are the worlds where it's like, no, I'm telling you, I'm here. I'm the thing that just says like, no, I'm
That's how
okay with all of it.
think. Yeah. Here's Jim Bennett. Well, some guy thinking Jim Bennett's a master genius, who says your suggestion to see the talks as GAs subtweeting each other was kind of helpful for what I did listen to. It was huge this time around. Blah, 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 blah.
Oh man,
Here he is.
the Twitter profile, Progmos and Exmos posting their L's.
Yeah.
Oh,
he retweeted my my McClellan thread with all of our memes.
Nice.
Yeah.
nice.
Here's more Jim Bennett. I'm blocked from Bennett, so I have to get these secondhand from people.
Mhm.
But
Did you
other
see?
people
Did you
asking,
see?
like,
There's
is
like
Jim
a
Bennett-
whole.
Wait, can
There's a
anybody
whole thread
remember
of
why were
people
you
blocked
blocked
by Jim Bennett.
I'm trying to.
I was
I'm just
blocked by
realizing,
Jim Bennett because I asked him about Tara Reid when he said,
Oh.
we now have proof that Trump's a rapist because of court.
You remembered, yeah. I think that's how I got. I think I got blocked by Jim Bennett on Twitter by asking about Tara Reid. I can't remember why he blocked me on Facebook, but I know it was
Okay.
something like that. But yeah, it's like because I'm trying to think, like I'm trying to remember, like why did John DeLynn block me? Why did Jim Bennett block me? Why did Dan McClellan block me? Dan McClellan blocked me for bringing up Thomas Sowell on Facebook, and he blocked me on Twitter.
I'm shadow banned from Mormon Stories. Like, I know they don't see my stuff when I post on there, and I think it was just from...
Mormon
McClellan
Stories
was
doesn't
great 'cause
exist.
we all-
In my Matrix, in my version of the Matrix, there is no Mormon Stories.
Yeah, no. So McClellan on Facebook was great because like Chris, Flip, and I all got banned, and like Kevin was working or something and saw all of it, and then this came on like later that day, and you're like
That was Kevroy Jenkins.
Kevroy Jenkins. You just were like, what did you say? Like, do I need to? Am I too late to get banned, or should I quote Thomas Sowell?
Yeah.
I heard I could catch a Thomas Sowell ban over here.
It worked.
He didn't. I don't think he banned me that time.
Oh,
It was
no?
like
I
it
don't think he
was,
did.
it was a little bit later. I came in guns blazing on something else, and
It took me
was-
a while
and
to get
was-
banned. On
Was
Twitter.
cracking on him on his ego drive and all that stuff. I guess.
No, I'll have to find it. There's a whole thread that I saw today from I think it was Captain Mahanrai is the guy's Twitter handle,
Mhm.
and he said he basically was saying like if you are banned by Dan, if you are blocked by Jim Bennett, that means that I know that you affirm the Quorum of the 12 and the prophet as prophets, seers, and revelators. And then it was his thread was just full of people putting screenshots of like, yep, me too.
Yeah, I think I got blocked by Stallion Cornell for referencing when he was talking to Chris and saying, "Show me your mother's balls" or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
Man,
Like
that's classic.
from
vintage.
general conference up in the stands.
No, I remember. I don't remember why I was blocked by him. I know I'm blocked by him because I looked for it, but I don't even remember. It's like when you bring up Steve Shives, you just like you bring him up to somebody that's never heard of him. Like, who's that? And like, look him up. And like, what? I am blocked by this guy. What did I do? Like, I don't know. He's got like an algorithm.
I feel like
Where was that post you had
like 3
today,
people.
Jared, from somebody saying that they have to read the CES letter daily to? Oh, here it is.
That was White Cat Prophecy. That was Chris.
If I don't read the CES letter and drink coffee daily, I start to lose my testimony of John DeLynn.
Oh yeah, that was big this week. Was ex-Mormons are big mad that that the Mormon Church said to wear your garments.
Yeah.
So like I watched no conference, and I barely. I listened to like I don't know. See,
Not much happened, man. I mean, that really was like the most controversial thing they could dig up.
Oh, okay, but like
Jenny
Nemo,
Hanks.
You know how Ward Radio had the thing where all Ward Radio had the Relief Society.
all the women,
section?
yeah.
And it's like I don't know. I'm
That's going to be
perverse.
weak.
I listened to as
think.
much as I could take. I think it was 45 minutes, but I don't know.
Wait. Before you tell us what happened, I picture a bunch of
nothing happened.
Okay, well, I
In
picture
that
a bunch of
45
female,
minutes, nothing of consequence was said.
but I picture a bunch of female cardons on there saying like, you know what I'm saying, dude? The garment is actually like it does remind me of my covenants with God. Okay, Doc. You know what I'm saying? Like it does remind me of my covenants with God, but honestly, like let's talk about the style, right? The style. I would wear garments if I weren't a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. You know what I'm saying? Like I would do it anyway, just for the comfort and the style. That's what I would expect Cardin to say.
Honest to God, I listened to this thing last night. Like I put it on the background while I played video games, and like right now I'm trying to remember what those ladies said, and I'm trying to remember the plot of the second J.J. Abrams Star Trek movie, and it's the same. Like I just have flashes of like there was a monster, there's a bad guy, there's terrible acting. Like I don't know.
So why I want to know why this all of a sudden became made about women. Because everybody's talking about women's garments, and that's the only thing they're talking about. And what I listened to was just saying, "Wear your garments," right?
There was some guy who came out 2 weeks earlier saying that women needed to wear their garments, and that wearing yoga pants didn't get you out of it.
Julie Hanks made a big deal about it too.
Well, that was Bill Reel. Like in general conference, one of the sessions, the only one I listened to Bill Reel cover. He was talking about the garment, and he was like, what did he say? He's like, oh yeah, this is really weird that they're bringing it up because that makes me think that they're thinking of women's underwear, and that's creepy. And I was like, okay, well, they were thinking of everyone's underwear. All right, they didn't say women. They didn't single out women. So that's a little bit dishonest, you weird fuck.
Feminists did, though.
Yeah.
Oh dang.
That's the other part. Like ex-Mormons always make fun of the whole yoga pants thing and the whole porn shoulders thing, right? But like, shoulders are actually hot. Okay, like anytime I see my wife in a tank top and yoga pants, I'm like, yeah, you're hot. That's hot. That's tempting. I understand. This should be banned.
Oh my gosh, I can't type. So yeah, they were very, very upset about that sort of thing, and I heard DeLynn say multiple times that he actually praised it. He said he also thought it was generally a pretty good conference with not too much weird stuff. The only weird stuff was the garments, but he made the claim multiple times that past conferences put people in emergency rooms for.
Wait, what?
Just every time he said that, I was like, "What are you talking about?"
What did he mean?
Yeah. But
Usually I
can pull
know.
up
Usually
wheelchair.
I know the. Oh yeah, wheelchair gate. Huh?
Whatever the heck.
No,
I
like oh yeah, what's wheelchair gate?
Did you see that? That was a. They
No,
think
like
that.
you guys clicked the thing, but every time I clicked on
Oh
it,
yeah. So
it
Russell
wouldn't
M.
take me to the
Nelson.
video.
I've got it. I've got it. It's coming right here.
Okay, yeah, he'll explain.
Speedy Chris, he's got it.
This Facebook post to you.
This lady.
From Rebecca Biblioteca. Love you, Rebecca. You do great work. And she writes, some very observant people pointed out that President Nelson was actually in a wheelchair and not in the red velvet chair he was portrayed in during his general conference address. Here, I'll just show you. So here's him in the red velvet couch, and you can see the wheelchair behind him. Anyway, continuing with her post, this might be a minor detail, but I find it interesting because I recently covered an article on the Mormon podcast in which Elder Gong warned everybody about AI and how it could possibly be used for deep fakes or making things appear as they are not. Elder Ben
That's retarded.
About using AI in a BYU devotional.
Innovations such as artificial intelligence have the potential to both assist you in receiving magnificent blessings and to diminish and suffocate your moral agency.
The article covering Elder Gong's address assured us that when the church uses AI, we will always be informed. And to those who might say, well, the great thing is just a pillow. Well, the Oregon Public Broadcasting released an article on April 7th that said that Nelson was seen leaving the conference center in a wheelchair. Not only do I feel like this is inappropriate, but I also think the church is missing out on an opportunity to give representation to the elderly in the church, as well as so many others who use wheelchairs.
You know
what the funny part is?
Representation to the elderly
what's the
finally
point
to
of
the
this?
church.
Then I realized there was a punchline. Oh,
No, I know
man,
that's the funniest shit ever, because I remember listening to that, and the first time I heard her talk about it, I was like, oh, I'm probably about to agree with her, because I would say, you know what? I wish that they would just show him in a wheelchair, and they show mortality. They show that, yes, I'm frail now. I'm nearly 100. It's amazing that I've made it this far. I'm your beloved prophet. I'm in a wheelchair. Maybe that'd be more transparent and honest or whatever, and it would show you mortality. I thought that's where she was going. No, representation of the elderly. Have you ever met an elderly person that gives a fuck about representation in the media? Ever, like an elderly person's like, oh, I watched the recent Mission Impossible, but why are there no representation of 89-year-old Mission Impossible agents?
Grandpa Simpson in his letters to the editor from Classic Simpsons. Like, that's the only guy I can think of. Where, like, because you remember, what episode is it where Grandpa Simpson is writing a letter to the editor of like, the whole thing is he's talking about, like, there isn't enough representation of old people in your magazine, and the punchline is that the reveal is he's writing to Modern Bride.
Oh, well, he used to be with it, but then what was with it became not it, and what became it was scary and difficult. It'll happen to you. Yeah, so Forrest reiterated what I said. There was a guy at some fireside a couple weeks before who said women were getting away with not wearing their garments because of the yogi pants. And then Cardin's wife said she very much appreciated that she was chastised for that, because she's been screwing off, man. But now she's back in line. I don't know. Was that it with conference, man? Like, conference was wet. They found gold plate.
Yeah, that's
And
why I
that's-
told Maven she needed to be pro-life again, is because the Mormon Church is true because they found gold plates.
One of the things I
That
saw
is
with
one of the
that
funny
in
things
Explain
that-
World is there was a little bit of some phoniness about claiming what the
Mormons
what the Mormon blogosphere or vlogosphere thought about them. I don't know that anybody was like truly fully duped by them. They were maybe like a little bit excited if it's real, but it's probably not real. But even if it's not real, the fact that they think that this story is plausible betrays the fact that evangelicals or Messianic Jews should think that the Book of Mormon story would be plausible. And I heard Bill Reel and some other people, or John DeLynn, kind of claimed that those guys were just buying it hook, line, and sinker, and they weren't. That was the misinformation. Although I later heard Rebecca Biblioteca kind of state it right, that, well, they aren't really taking it like that. They're taking it like a thing that just kind of hints that the story is plausible. But these books are probably fake.
Fake books.
It's a pretty dull story, though, overall.
Yeah, at first I saw somebody. All I saw was like Dan McClellan say, "Yeah, these are definitely fake." I was like, "Oh, so they're definitely real." And then I saw Dan Ellsworth say, "Yeah, I actually think they're probably fake." I was like, "Okay, I guess they're probably fake."
Well,
No, like all we know that Dan McClellan says they're fake. All we know is that they don't say anything that a 2024 Democrat wouldn't say.
He's got to throw in something that's completely right every once in a while.
Like if it was a fraud and it was like, and Jehovah spoke unto Moses saying, some people shall be born in the wrong body, and you shall cut off their tits and nuts and make them better. And then he'd be like, no, this is obviously the real deal. I can tell because it's a 2024 Democrat.
Yeah.
That's how I know.
In CE 012, Adonai said, God, I want to die. That's the other one I hear. Every time I hear him say Adonai, I'm like, I hate you.
It's Yahweh. But anyway, once he debunked that for me, because I was sold on those plates, but I really needed Dan McCanyon to debunk them for me.
So
and then once he did,
what bugs me
first I
about
went
this
and bought one of these shirts. And then I went over to University of Utah Pride Week and went to a gay prom. That's what I did.
Was it so exciting?
Didn't they come up with something where they can't like paint that now?
I don't know.
I hope
did
so.
they? Because they did it this week.
They said that they're kind of cracking down on that, but I don't know. Like I thought,
Fucking good. I'm so tired of this shit at this point. I'm like I saw that teacher from some public school bitching about how his students kept like tearing down his pride flag when he wasn't around. And I'm like, okay, like I don't like destruction of property, but you're a public school teacher engaging in advocacy on the public dime. Fuck you. Tear your property down. I don't even care, man. And I had that argument in that god awful page, the Normalize Atheism, where like they were talking about how, oh yeah, my stupid Christian neighbor doesn't like that the school's doing Pride Week. I was like, yeah, public schools shouldn't do Pride Week. And they're like, well, fuck you. Why do you say that? I'm like, well, okay, because activism has no place on the public dime. Activism and advocacy, get them the hell out of there. And like, would you be happy if there was a pro-life week? And they're like, well, the majority of people. And the funniest part was they're like, if Christian people want their Christian beliefs taught, take them to a private school. And you are so close to the point. I don't want Christianity in public school. And I don't want pride advocacy in public school either. Like, I don't want any advocacy, any of it. It's like they totally forgot what principles are.
Yeah. No, like that's one of those things that like I mean in my private conversation with Maven that I made clear. It's like ultimately my fight with feminism is a secularism fight. Like, you know, like I don't hate you on none of this stuff, you know, like everybody's welcome to their belief. You can teach your kids whatever, but like for all the same reasons that Mormons can't impose their bullshit in public schools, feminists can't either, or queer theorists, you know, like ultimately, like because I can turn off the part of my brain that cares about the veracity of the claims of anything and just say, as a principle, metaphysical claims have no business informing medical or educational policy. You know, that's the principle. You know, it's not a fuck you. It's just stay out of school. You know, just that.
Look, Maven, check this out. We're zinging the lefties there. Zing, zing-a-ling-a-ding. Look at this. I got a meme for the righties, too. Intelligent assets, whores, closet homosexuals, failed actors, conservative media.
Have you seen that speculation? Have you seen the speculation that Crowder's closeted homosexual?
Oh yeah, I've seen a bunch of that since going back forever. And Owen Benjamin would
I'm
hint at it.
usually not convinced by that stuff, but the more I see about Crowder, the more I'm like, maybe.
Look,
You got your comment covering Kevin's face, by the way.
I think that I think Crowder Crowder has some deep issues. I don't know, like I don't know what else to say about the guy. Like
Crowder is the
guy
best in Tim Pool. Like to dunk on Tim Pool again. Crowder, ironically enough, is the best case for no fault divorce. Like if I wanted to make a case for no fault divorce, I would use Crowder.
Imagine forcing
And Tim
him
Pool is
to
trying to
stay
use him as a
married
case
to
against
him.
no fault divorce.
I rewatched the video of him, badgering his wife, and I was like, "Holy shit, man!"
He's so manipulative. That's such a shitty.
Dude, that video, like, I think if I watched it over and over again, I'd still continue to be surprised how much of an asshole he is.
Yeah. God.
Yeah, I think that one's hard to land on the side of Crowder. Plus, Lauren Southern did an extended video on some of like the lawfare that he's doing against her and that sorts of stuff. And I tend to think that Crowder's being a dickweed in that situation for sure, especially with all the other smoke around him.
I would say that the biggest misstep on the biggest misstep on the other side is that Not Gay Jared said, I don't want him around those kids. Like that's unless he is like sexually assaulting them or hitting them or something, that's not a thing you should say. And I understand he's really, really mad at Crowder, but you don't take a kid away from their parents
he should have said
unless
everything
you
up until
absolutely have to. That's the only thing I really have to criticize him on.
Yeah.
Crowder's still. I guess he's still going. I wonder what his numbers are like.
He's got
that social?
I think he's off YouTube and he's only on Rumble now. I caught one of them.
You can find
recently.
him, so you can see him on YouTube still. But yeah, he's
like he still has
on
like
Rumble.
Alex Jones and stuff on. As soon as he keeps having guys like that on, he's still gonna have. He's kind of like it's almost like he's doing like Saul Alinsky like method, just like to keep steamrolling,
Well, and there's still big people that support him, like the quartering that dumb piece of shit Pearl Davis. Here's the thing: I was actually going to ask about, like, I think I hate Pearl Davis more than any other online personality right now. So I was curious, Kevin, as the other married guy in here, if you were to listen to everything that Pearl Davis said, how would you feel about your wife? Like, just you take everything that Pearl Davis says, and you're like, yeah, she's probably right about this. How would you feel about your wife?
I'd pistol whip her if she tried going and voting.
I'd hate her. I would hate my wife. Pearl Davis wants me to hate my wife.
Yeah.
And that's such a non-starter for me.
Well, you could try.
Yeah, I'll try. All right. Morgan, we got to give this hatred thing a shot.
My parents did it for 48 years.
Oh, God.
Is Pearl married? She's not married, right?
No, she's 26, and everything she says
so
is
it's
the
like,
opposite of how she lives. She's a fucking hypocrite grifter. And
Yeah,
as soon,
so
I wonder how long she'll last, because as soon as this grift doesn't make any sense, she'll go full feminist.
She's got as much credibility as Sam does on marriage and divorce.
Divorce queen?
Yes.
So something that we covered well over a year ago, although we were covering other people covering it, was NPR. A guy came out saying that NPR is tanking, and the reason it's tanking is because of its ideological, what do you call it, death trap that it's in.
Oh yeah. I like that NPR did an article on the article in the comments section.
I know, that was pretty
we're still good. Funny. We're still good.
Yeah. No, but because I just said and I mean, I don't know how many people are even care anymore, because I just said NPR, you lost my trust. Just so you know, I'm one of the people he's talking about. I used to love you guys, and I don't trust you no more because of exactly what he's talking about. Divolce. Hey, that's a good portmanteau.
So did you guys read this article? It was a long article.
I didn't. Oh yeah, I did read that whole article. Yeah. No, but like it's one of those things where it's like, okay, like I mean, it's great that this guy's saying it, but it's like none of it is news at all. I mean, the part where he talks about like his own, like he went and looked, and their like Washington D.C. bureau is like 73 Democrats and no one else. like,
Yeah.
never mind Republicans. It's like just Democrats.
So he mentioned specific events, and it all initially really started with them deciding they needed to become activists because Trump got elected. Boom, 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 boom. And that's also when I myself started noticing that they just completely went off the rails. But then it mentioned them hiding stuff like the laptop and just openly talking about how they had to. Oh, it said that they just basically gobbled up everything Adam Schiff ever said and just put it out there uncritically. And then they never had a comeuppance for any of it.
Yeah.
But
Never copped to any of it.
yeah, and then one of the things it talked about, and I wanted to like hit on this because not to pick on Maiden some more, going all the way back to it. I'm gonna pull the thing up, but talked about they just completely went off the deep end with DEI stuff once George Floyd hit, and just did not care about doing anything but pushing that racist message, anti-racist. So yesterday, I don't know if you guys saw it, like the Biden administration put out like a new ad, and the new ad basically likened being with the Biden administration is like being like a 60s protester. Right. I'll pull up
the same
the
fight.
video if I can find it. Why am I not finding the search option in our thing here? Didn't there used to be a search option in speeches? There it is. Duh. What is going on? There we go. Why? Oh my gosh. Okay.
This is great podcasting.
Revolution and peace movement. So one of and the whole first year was very intensely internal. So before going into how to, facilitate and mediate conflicts between others, there was a lot of work we had to do on ourselves. So anyway, one of the required readings and one of the few books that I've kept, since that time, it's been over a decade since I've been in college, is this one. Hopefully I'm holding it up right, Gene.
Yep, it's good.
Am I
Doing good.
Okay. All right. So this is a collection of sermons by Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And this one particularly is called Strength to Love. And, up until this point, being a member of the church, and obviously, thinking that I'm very superior and righteous compared to others and, having the right ideals and things, whenever I learned about moments in history, like the civil rights movement or even the Holocaust, or even just the end of slavery. So going back before that, before civil rights, before Martin Luther King Jr.'s time, just the abolition movement, I initially just thought of myself as if I were in those times, I would be on the right side. I totally would have been an abolitionist. I would have been marching in, with the civil rights protesters if I was that, of age too in the 60s. That's who I was, and I definitely would have. It was during like this intense work and also reading this book.
She also would have been a Nazi.
Reading about Dr. Martin
Well, this is actually a cool
real
like
threats,
self-realization thing.
and things that he faced. I really kind of had I guess I'll call it a come to Jesus moment about myself and the realization that there wasn't anything I was doing in my life currently that could support that idea that I would be this kind of a person if I lived in this kind of a time, because I knew that right now, which now being 12 years ago as I was taking this class, at that point I had never stood up for anyone or any group. I'd never done anything. And even in conversations with my peers, I was actually pro-choice at this time. I'd learned enough back then about the dangers and the fallout of unwanted pregnancies for women, for children, for society.
So, Maven, I know you're never watching us ever again, but check out what one of our episodes was called almost a year ago. Mormon Stories, aka Blue Church, Selma Envy.
What envy?
And there we have John DeLynn photoshopped into the Selma thing. And what is the Selma Envy? We went over it then, but
cause like that. I'm not just sort of going through the motions. Is that kind of what they're doing?
I think so. And one thing they
Okay.
didn't bring up, but I think if we had had longer to talk, I would have brought up is the Selma envy, as I've called it. in the
Yes.
past.
Okay.
You know,
Yes. Okay. Weird. I was just thinking about this. That's very strange. Go ahead.
Okay, but the Selma envy is the idea that the modern American mythology holds the civil rights movement in high esteem, as it should.
As it should. Yeah. Yeah.
But I can remember back when gay marriage was starting to become a real issue, having a conversation with a younger friend of mine, a colleague of mine at the newspaper, and he was saying, like, well, our generation missed the civil rights movement. This is our civil rights movement. Well, if they can invest the BLM or LGBT with that same sort of passion, they see themselves as being the successor to the civil rights movement, which is one of the finest moments of American history.
So Rod, my cards on the table here. I mean, I graduated high school in 91, and I specifically remember, and that was me, when I was 16, 17, 18 years old, I had serious Selma envy. Like, I had really thought that the great battles, that we could sort of stand up and be righteous about had been sort of done. And I was sad in a weird, almost kind of, nostalgic for something that wasn't even mine, but I was really prone to that narrative. And so it's amazing to me that Selma envy still exists in 2021.
Sure.
So
do you ever listen to The Bravery? Because they've got this great song. They've got this great song called "Time Won't Let Me Go," and it starts off. He says, "Whenever I think back on the best days of my life, I think I saw them all on TV. I feel so homesick now for somewhere that I've never been. I feel so homesick for some place that I'll never be." Like, that's what I think of, because I feel like I stumbled upon I didn't have the words to say it, but the first time I watched Remember the Titans as a kid, I stumbled upon the idea of Selma envy, because I was like, yeah, I would I'm like, 8. I'm like, I would stand with the black kids too, just like all these guys did. And then you realize that that's not an option anymore. That's not a thing that means anything anymore, because you're like, oh, you're accepting of black people? How brave of you.
Yeah.
Well, it's
But
even worse.
I feel that modern, like, I feel like concurrently with, I feel like trans Selma envy, right? Because I think of like J.K. Rowling, or like being like, arrest me now, bitches, and I'm like, ugh! I'm like mad that there's no I'm real hard on this trans issue, and there's just no consequences for me. I'm sitting here like, I would lose my job if I had to. No, everybody at my job is conservative as hell, like way more than I am. So I'm like, fire me for being a bigot.
Like, I live in Salt Lake City. I live in downtown Salt Lake City, like the headquarters of world Mormonism. I don't know any conservatives. Like, seriously, like the last guy that I worked with that would quietly cop to voting for Trump is the twink screwingest, gayest old Louisiana Bayou boy you've ever fucking could imagine. Like,
Well,
But
there was
like
a
that's
lot of
the
stuff on
closest
Twitter
I
today
came to
about
a
Michael Knowles
conservative that I've
realizing
worked
that
with.
Salt Lake City proper was very, very, very liberal, and he didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Steve actually had a great observation. He would have marched at Selma because he heard there were hot girls there.
That's for sure what happened. That's what happened in some of the marches of 2022. Guys were cooped up in their houses and heard
It's
all the
actually
chicks were getting out to go march.
It's actually one of the first episodes of It's Always Sunny is when Mac and Dennis both join different sides of the pro-life, pro-choice movement just because they're betting
trying
on
to
who's
hit on
going to get
chicks.
laid more quickly. And it ends amazingly because Mac finally is able to score with this pro-life girl, and she tells him a couple weeks later that she's pregnant, and he just kind of looks at her, and he's pretending to be pro-life this whole time, and he goes, "You got to get an abortion."
But so the cynical side of that, Maven, there is nothing more cynical than this ad playing on your Selma envy. Like part of everything that we're pointing at is you guys think you've deconstructed the church and all these old men trying to control your bodies and all that stuff. These guys are controlling you through your Selma envy. Like watch this stupid ad and really, really stop and see through it and see maybe even the point that Derek Bell was making, that there's only interest convergence. There's only something in it for them where they can use you as a useful idiot. Like, look at it, really look at it. These guys are playing you.
To launch Out for Biden Harris. As the great Harvey Milk once said, rights are won only by those who make their voices heard. And because you made your...
We talked about Andy Warhol earlier. Andy Warhol is the guy who's like, everything just gets reprinted and becomes a fake. This is such reprinted fakeness playing on Selma envy for their benefit.
voices heard, marriages are more secure, and Joe Biden is our president.
They're Joe Biden. Look at the White House. Oh my gosh. You're on the side of the freedom fighters. It's the 60s. Joe Biden, look at that guy. Wow. Hero. Oh my goodness. He's not a creeper or a weirdo or a rapist or a liar or somebody who would have been kicked out on his own Title IX laws for the stuff that he did to a woman in Congress.
Elevated LGBTQI plus leaders to every level of our administration, who fights for the safety and freedom and dignity of all people every...
Wow, I'm getting the Selma jitters right there. I mean, it's just going through my bones. It's almost like I'm in general conference or something. Like I feel the spirit.
single day.
We believe LGBTQ plus rights are human rights.
He totally believes that. He always believed that. That's just who he is. He's totally that guy. He's not somebody who's just using that for his political benefit right now. He's totally that guy.
We will do what we have
Well, look at that. They put
always
homosexuals are also citizens on black and white images.
done in this movement.
Look at her walking with that guy. That was so exciting out there, walking out there with that guy who looks like Harvey Weinstein. Oh yeah, Harvey Weinstein donated to a bunch of these guys too.
In this community, which is collectively...
Oh, look at this. It's so hippie. It's so hippie. The hippies, they're so great, man.
We will continue to build unity. We will continue to build coalition. We will always
It's the
be
60s.
fueled by knowing we have so much more in common than what separates us. We will be fueled by knowing we are all in this together. What do you say?
So for the people who...
Maven, you think Mormonism played you?
When I was at the marches of
This is playing
Martin
you.
Luther King.
Yeah, Kamala Harris is brave. I will say I'm actually very glad. I'm grateful to Marty for setting that up because I don't think Maven would. I don't think she recognized. I think she was being nice when she replied to me on YouTube. I don't think she really recognized me, but I'm grateful to Marty for setting it up because I'm actually glad I got to talk to Maven because I'm actually like pretty certain she's a really like a sincere person at this point. I
think so.
I
Marty,
disagree with her on almost everything, but I don't think she's a bad faith actor.
It's testament to Marty's powers of niceness.
Forrest is going to kill me for saying that.
No, again, like I just a little bit of interaction I've had with her, like I think that Maven is not stereotypical feminist activist type.
No, she wouldn't. She would have been only there 10 minutes.
Yeah.
If she was.
Yeah, she would have left.
She
That was
she
actually
made it.
okay.
She made it a while with you guys.
I almost ended up kicking her off because I could tell that she wanted to get out, and everyone wanted to ask her questions, but she did end up. I was about to click the button to be like, hey, I'm gonna kick you out just because I know you want to go and you're too nice to do it. And I almost clicked it, but she clicked off. So
Let me look at this post by Rob Henderson, although I think he was just quoting somebody else. Hold on a second. But it just goes right in line with it. It's kind of that same old quote that comes from C.S. Lewis about there's no greater tyranny than the person who thinks they are doing it for the good. Like I totally think all sorts of people on the left are doing it because they think they're good. I also think there are Machiavellians up at the top of it, like the Biden administration, who are using those people. But there is no greater tyranny than people who think they're doing it for something that they have like the conviction of their souls to be doing it for.
Yeah.
So Solzhenitsyn said that's what gives devil doing its like ideologies, people feeling like they're being righteous and stuff.
Yeah.
Here's the quote it's T.S. Eliot from The Cocktail Party. Half of the harm that is done in this world is due to people who want to feel important. They don't want to do harm, but the harm does not interest them, or they do not see it, or they justify it because they are absorbed in the endless struggle to think well of themselves. So, like, is Selma envy wanting to actually help people or want to think well of yourself and be important?
that's why I didn't think you well of yourself. I remember the same exact thing happened when I don't know why, but I was like seriously like probably 4 or 5 years old. It's one of my first memories is watching. It's crazy, but The Secret of Nim 2, Timmy to the Rescue. And
There
it
was a
was
sequel?
yeah, I mean, it was a straight to DVD thing, and I haven't seen it since I was seriously like 3 or 4 years old. But it's one of my first memories, and it was all about saving the animals. I'm not even kidding. And I remember just thinking, yeah, I also want to save the animals. And it was just like nobody I ever knew was trying to hurt the animals. It was just so I could be great. I think this is one of the things that happened to Owen Benjamin, because I think we've all had that experience where it's not that we're not sure, it's that in this moment, I know I am the only correct person in the room. I know that. And it fucks with your head, right? Like I remember a friend like getting the shit kicked out of him when I was in elementary school, and I was the only one trying to stop it. And everybody else was acting like I was absurd for trying to stop it. And I knew at that moment, I was like, I'm the only right person in the room. And that's fucked me up for my whole life in a lot of ways. And Owen Benjamin had that times a million, right? Like he's in a room full of Hollywood executives where this Hollywood executive that you're not supposed to criticize says, I'm transing my 3-year-old. And he says that is child abuse. And he knows he is the only correct person in a room full of like dozens, but more accurately millions that are watching this. And I think it drove him insane.
Well, like, because one thing with this whole, like, the Selma envy thing is like, oh, I would have been on the side of righteousness. Like, I don't know if there's any way if they can correlate this, but I wonder, like, what is the correlation between people who believe that and people who would fail the Ash conformity test? You know?
Well, that's actually the thing. I was actually really... So when I listened to that thing that Maven was talking about at first, I was actually pleasantly surprised because she's talking about how she realized that's a stupid thing to think, that I would be on the right side of history at any given point in history. And so I was like, oh, that's actually a pretty introspective thing that you did there.
Well, here's one of the ways they get it backwards too. It happened in that NPR article. The guy said that the people at NPR felt very, very duped by the weapons of mass destruction thing. So they did not want to get the Hunter Biden's laptop thing wrong. So it's like you guys, through your fear and panic to not be the thing or to be the thing, you go full circle and get yourselves completely wrong again. It's almost kind of like satanic panic stuff. It's all endless battles of type A errors versus type B errors, or type 1 errors versus type 2 errors. You guys are almost consistently wrong with, you look at some lady and say she's pregnant when she's not, and then you don't want to get it wrong the next time. So the next lady comes in and you say she's not pregnant when she is. You flip it just endlessly. And all any of it takes is stopping and listening and thinking and listening to all sides, and then landing on a slow conclusion after you hear everything with pertinent information to something. But I think it's just funny how you see so many Mormons say, well, we got to get this right because we were wrong on the blacks. And I'm sorry, the trans issue and the blacks issue is a different categorical issue. It's not the same issue at all. I saw people going in on J.K. Rowling's today. I hate to tell it to you, but J.K. Rowling's is right, not the people who are spazzing about the people she's supposedly causing harm to.
No, that's the thing, is we want nothing more than to be able to fight the battles of yesterday, because we already those have already been answered. Like we want to fight
the easy
we want
ones.
to fight
The easy
racism.
ones are answered.
Yeah, no, we want to fight racism against black. No, the problem is that in like 60 years from now, this trans issue is going to seem easy. There's going to be a bunch of people trying to be like, I'm against transitioning children. And everybody else is going to be like, yeah, they figured that out a long time ago. We got this whole new thing where we're trying to say, no, you're not allowed to rape dogs or whatever the hell, wherever we're going to be at that point. But there's this whole thing where it's difficult. It's easy to, everybody wants to slay a dragon. Nobody wants to find the dragon. And so you look at previously found dragons and you say, I'm going to slay that. Not only are they previously found, but they're also previously slain. And so you already have a blueprint for how to slay them. You know how to beat like 1960s style racism. You know how to do that. And you know that it's valiant. Right now, you don't have the benefit of knowing that what you're doing is valiant and by anything other than your own convictions, and you don't have a blueprint for how to beat them, so you have to figure it out on your own, and that's a lot more difficult.
Yeah, we brought up on here before, if anybody's looking this up and rethinking their world, which is low likelihood, we brought up the St. George in retirement story. There's even a song that was made about it, but the St. George in retirement is this Australian philosopher, but Douglas Murray repeats it. And he talks about St. George was the hero of the land because he smote 1 or 2 dragons. And then after a while, all the dragons were dead. And so then he had to go around the land making more and more dragons, and then went off and killed off every single beast of the field because he declared each one of them a dragon. Each one of them is an emergency. And if you don't know, declaring things an emergency is one of the easiest ways for a government to declare, we have all the rights in the world to commit whatever tyranny against you. It's one of the easy playbooks for that. But the final end of the story of the St. George and retirement thing is that St. George had no more dragons, and he was still just crazy. And so he had no more dragons to slay, so he had nothing to do but sit there swinging his sword around in the air at the end of his life as a crazy person. And we talked about all the sorts of ideas before, and that's not to say, we're always all fighting with what's a type A error or a type B error, type 1 or type 2 error. Like, is that a tiger in the woods, or is it not a tiger in the woods? And of course, as Michael Shermer pointed out, we kind of have a likelihood to see the tiger in the woods because that's more likely to lead to survival and that sorts of stuff. But we've mentioned before also the thing that comes from Paul Bloom's book about empathy, that there's no more dangerous wild animal than an empathetic mother bear who's decided that you are a threat to its cubs, even if you're not.
It's just like this stuff is just so plainly obvious, but whatever.
Imagine trying to explain to a mother bear, actually you shouldn't be wary of shit.
Yeah, right.
It's gonna come after your cub.
You don't know that those kids don't have bad intentions on your babies. You don't know that they're just granola munching hippies out for a hike.
Well, I think about this in a couple different ways. I'm like, I always use the excuse, not the excuse. I always use a story of, when people talk about discrimination, how you should never discriminate. I was like, well, there's some ways you absolutely should discriminate. Like if
Yeah.
you had to leave your house for a weekend, and gun to your head, you gotta leave some stranger in charge of your kids. Are you gonna choose a 40-year-old male or a 40-year-old female from a population of those two?
Yeah, if that's the only thing you know about them,
If it's the only thing you know, you're gonna choose a 40-year-old female every time. And it's not because like I got 3 40-year-old males here. I know none of you would do. Like, I would choose any of you 3 to watch my kids before somebody random. But if all I knew was 40-year-old male, I'm gonna be like, nope, I'm discriminating. I'm going with 40-year-old female because the odds are better. I'm not gonna be happy about it, and I'm gonna be really nervous while I'm away from my kid and the strangers there. But it's, yeah.
So this podcast is pretty good. These guys have a bunch of stuff. We brought him up before. We brought him up before when he talked about the dying birth rates of people in the West and Korea and stuff like that. But they have a whole podcast here that goes into the science that they have found that people who are into antinatalism are high in the dark triad traits.
You don't say.
Yeah, it's one of those other ones that like, well, maybe we didn't need a study for that one. But listen to this. This guy gave a pretty succinct definition of wokeness right here. Hold on.
Video games with, obviously Nintendo and all this, but there was a story with Disney yesterday where Bob Iger was like, well, nobody really knows what woke means. And Mike Harlow over on X
Critical consciousness, you dumbass.
goes and before the show went live, and he says nobody knows what woke means. It's just a lazy and intellectually dishonest excuse to bury one's head in the sand. Woke media replaces character with identity and story with ideology. See how easy was that?
I think that's a good definition of how it appears in media.
There we go. That pretty much nails it.
Woke media replaces character with identity and story with ideology.
Right.
Oh, yeah. So, like earlier today, I was watching I don't know, the internet historian, like that guy. I don't know who he is, but he's got a bunch of channels. But there's one where he just does like they just basically recap video games, and he recapped some game called like Life is Strange 2, the something of something. And it was funny because like these guys like they're not guys like us that are just dickheads that want to tear everything down. Like they just want to be entertaining and funny. But like this game, like, and they never said the word woke or anything like that. But like this game was obviously woke because the whole thing is like it's about a girl, and her superpower is that she has empathy. Like, and this is really the whole thing.
That's from a movie too. That was that most recent movie.
Empathy.
The Colombian family.
Yeah,
It's a Disney
it's just
Pixar
funny
movie.
because like in this review, like because it's this the New Zealand guy and the British guy, and it's funny because like they're reviewing this scene in this video game, and it's all about how like she has the power of empathy, and part of her superpower is that when people are feeling very strong emotions, she feels them too. And the commentators are like yeah, like
The movie
these are
Encanto,
normal
the
human
superpower
emotions.
of the main girl is
Have you
empathy
never
as well.
met people like this? Have none of you never met a woman that calls herself an empath? Oh my god, they're everywhere. They're like, I actually have this special ability where I know how people are feeling. No, you're a person. Oh my god, you're a fucking person.
It's just
Well,
funny 'cause,
part
like,
of that-
these guys, like, they're not just out to shit on the, and like they're not guys like us. They're just noticing that this is terrible writing and going like, yeah, doesn't everybody have empathy? But like this game is treating it like, oh my god, it's this stupid thing that only.
Well, one of the things
have.
about this,
And you
one
can
of the
tell, like,
things
I want to
about
look
this,
into the writers of this game because I'm just sure that it's just, yeah. Anyway, sorry, go ahead, Chris.
one of the things about these studies that they pulled out is they also talk about how the people who declare themselves empathetic or ones who have empathy are not empathetic at all. They assume everybody thinks like them, so they think they're empathetic.
Makes sense.
I remember at one point, like, so Morgan's got some family that like tries to. They'll say that they're empaths, and she had this uncle that claimed he was an empath. And at one point, we're sitting there, like just talking at this family function, and he's like, "Oh, I feel kind of gross. Morgan, am I picking that up from you? Because I feel like kind of nauseous and stuff. Do you also feel nauseous?" And she looked at him like he's a fucking idiot because she was like 6 months pregnant. And she's like, "Yeah, I feel nauseous right now."
You know that thing that like all pregnant women feel like commonly?
No,
Yeah,
that thing
having
that we
that
always
thing.
feel the whole fucking 9 months. I
Yeah.
do feel that. How did you know? You must
like-
have magic powers.
It's like if I'm sitting
Are
next
you
to
ET?
like I'm sitting next to a fat guy on a train. I'm like, do you want beer and fried chicken wings?
It's
I
like a
have
woman
empathy.
coming up to
I'm
you.
sensing this.
It's like a woman coming up to you. You look like somebody that likes the blowjobs, actually. Like, what?
I'm feeling this
am.
empathetically. I empath
I'm
that you.
somebody that wants blowjobs. How did you know that? You're amazing.
You must be an empath.
You
I just
figured
get
me
these
out exactly, lady. Oh my gosh.
I'm also an empath. You must like retarded validation for dumb shit that you point out that's obvious. I am. You're also an empath. Whoa.
I can't believe we found each other.
What are the odds? What are the odds?
We're the empathy crew, man. But we used to joke about that forever ago, that was like how Robin DiAngelo thought. Like Robin DiAngelo thought, wow,
Yeah.
I'm terribly racist.
Yeah, Robin
You all
DiAngelo
think that way
projects her
too.
racism.
Yeah.
She is an actual racist. And every time people hear me say that, they're like, "Oh yeah, you think she's racist against white people?" I'm like, no. She thinks black people are less.
Yeah, no, because it's just funny. 'Cause, like the whole thing where she's like, you know how like you're going to a venue and you see two groups because like you're there for a party and you're not sure which group is your party, and you notice that one of the groups is full of brown people and the other one's white, and you're worried that your group is the brown people and you're scared. And it's like, okay, first off, lady, you're a fucking racist. Secondly, like I have the thing where it's like, well, God, I hope like if it's the brown people, like they'll probably have better food. Like I really like they'll probably be able to have intelligent conversations about soccer. Like there's so many reasons why I hope it's brown people, you know. But that's just me, Robin DiAngelo, you fucking creep. Like,
Yeah, here I'll play a little bit more of this where the guy goes into his definition.
As much as I love this definition, I do think it's important to elaborate on just how big sort of the woke ideology is. When somebody's like, you haven't described woke well, it's like, well, what does Jewish mean? What does Christian mean? It's an entire world perspective.
Right.
And when a lot of people hear this, they first say to me, they're like, well, come on, you can be any religion and be woke, right? And I'm like, not really. If I talk to like an ultra woke Muslim or an ultra woke Jew or an ultra woke Catholic, they're going to have the same ideas about gender, the same ideas about marriage, the same ideas about our relation to the environment, a broadly similar cosmology, a broadly similar view of what ethics is, a broadly similar view of what a human's goal on earth is. Wokeism is unique as a religious system in that it doesn't require people to abandon their birth religious identity, but it does require total ideological conformity with the system once someone has converted. And then it
Oh, it's just
begins
like
to
Scientology.
target all of the networks that you are associated with that are connected to immune or non-woke nodes, which is truly what is so damaging about wokeism when contrasted with other religious traditions, is it doesn't allow its members to talk to or consume a media that non-woke things have touched, which is one of the reasons why they're so effective effective at like infecting organizations and stuff like that. And it's also why they're so sort of immune to any of the outside criticism that they're facing right now, because they so dehumanize people who are not part of their cultural group, that they don't see.
You dehumanize the people who, and so they're evil, horrible, ontological evil monsters if they don't think like you.
It's funny how he literally just described how Scientology works too. Like they start out by saying like, oh no, we're not. This isn't a religion.
Yep.
No, don't be silly.
Are you fellas the cult? We're a religious group that prays together. We're not a cult. Yep, these are them.
I had a lot of autists this week, but I think that kid gets autist of the week because he also had the Dark Triad episode about people who think they have empathy just think everybody thinks like them.
So I wanna try the game Flip was talking about last week with his thing. I got my copy of White Fragility. I want you to just it's a scripture game where you name a page. So go from 0 to 120 because I think that's about where the
Go get
97.
97?
97.
Let's look at page 97. Let's see. And I think Flip's rule was if it has some really stupid bullshit. Let's see. In one pivotal scene, this is talking about The Blind Side. In one pivotal scene, Oa returns to his former neighborhood. As he walks down the street, he is surrounded by a gang that tries to intimidate him. While he considers his limited options, Miss Tooley arrives and confronts the gang members, who quickly back down and retreat. Rescued by Miss Tooley, Oa is returned back to safe white suburbia. The scene makes it clear the only way Oa could be saved from the terrors of his own black community is through the benevolence and bravery of a white family.
That's clear.
So you should hire me for your next company meeting.
That's only what is she relating a scene from a movie or something?
That's The Blind Side, yeah.
Oh,
the Sandra
but,
Bullock
like,
movie where they adopted Michael Oher.
but that's where the huh.
And she's explaining it as if it's a white savior thing. Like the only thing that could have saved him was
a white
woman.
only
Like,
thing,
yeah, like I don't know how the black men in that group would have possibly attacked a white woman like that.
Yeah, but also, like, how is the message only? Like, where somebody's like, "Well, that's the only way that works. There are black people and there are white people, and
No,
my only
that's the
chance
thing.
is
This
that
is
a white woman will save me." Like, what?
What if I take this from a feminist viewpoint and I'm like, this is a gigantic black dude that eventually becomes a linebacker, and he's saved by this brave, like 50-year-old female who puts herself into a dangerous situation. At some point, your intersectionality like butts up against each other.
Okay,
Chris,
comments.
As a HR guy, I think you have an assignment to reach out and see how much Robin DiAngelo's rate is now to come present at your company.
Yeah, I wonder. Like,
I bet you
can
sad to
find out
drop
whether
it at this point.
comments. Somebody
He's lost
pick a
popularity,
page.
man.
1 to 253. Somebody pick a number.
But I probably could get Gordon Monson to come talk at my place. Gordon Monson,
Really?
a sportscaster
Gordon Monson?
turned cultural Twitter critic.
I never saw any of
All
his
these
sports
churches
shit. I've
see
only
S's
I've only
dress
seen his
and grooming
retarded shit.
policy smacks of old white men incorrectly conflating long hair and other personal style choices with rebellion and unclean living. Gordon Monson, you
no, they're
becoming
not that
this
dumb.
smacks of old white men trying to territorialize. What is it like? You are
Isn't this
annexing. You're annexing the ideas. You think you're still 60s revolutionary too, and you're annexing the ideas of today's. You're the same thing, Gordon Monson. Selma Envy Doink.
Steve says he lives online because he lives in rural Indiana. And see, a lot of that sounds nice. Because, like, I bet you that when he, like, walks down the street from his house, he doesn't have to walk over human poo. But he probably can't get Lebanese food within a 5-minute walk of where he lives.
I mean, I live
like,
in.
everything's a trade-off. Everything is a trade-off.
It is. You're right. I live in southeastern Idaho, and it's great for that. There's no human poop. We have
No
a little
human
bit of
poo
homelessness,
on the sidewalk.
but who the fuck wants to live in Idaho, homeless during the winter? So,
Scott Adams had a rant on that today. He said, "I live in California. I think it's illegal to be white here, whereas in Idaho, I can be white. In fact, they might like me, but I could die if I go outside. So I choose California."
Scott Adams needs to move to Idaho. He could be my neighbor. We could notice things together.
Yep, he specifically named Idaho as the place he can't go to. He still chooses to be in a place where they are letting criminals closer and closer to his house. His house may catch on fire, but he still chooses it for the weather because if he goes outside, he'll die in Idaho.
No, okay, being cold is nice. Everybody needs to be cold sometimes. That's what I've realized. That's the biggest difference between like lame, fat 30-year-old Jared versus awesome, skinny, fit 15-year-old Jared is that 15-year-old Jared didn't give a fuck about the cold. Dude, I would go outside in like 2-degree weather with shorts and a t-shirt. And I'm like, yeah, it's cold, but whatever. I was cool. Now I'm not.
Yeah, well, last week in Colorado, I went hiking in the desert in April, and it was snowing on us. That's some horse
Yeah.
shit. Yeah.
No, it snowed on us too.
And then driving home, I got snowed on in Price Canyon, and then I found out that my granny died in Price Canyon in 1930 something, driving right off of that same canyon in a snowstorm.
Yeah, no, that was. You said you were driving in the snow. Like I thought you were leaving Colorado. I was like, what the fuck are you doing?
No, I was in
You were
Price
almost
Canyon
home.
because I was trying to get home to walk my doggy in the morning. I've actually still got a ton of stuff, but we can keep going as long as you guys want to go or not want to go.
I know one thing that I wanted to say is that this week with Carden and Jacob Hansen, when they thought they were slam dunking because Richard Dawkins said he liked Christian stuff, and they're like,
He's always said that.
declare, yeah, and it's like, and it just goes, it's like it's just testament to how little they know what they're talking about. Where it's like where they thought it was some big change in Richard Dawkins' message. It's like, no, he's been saying that the whole time. You dingbats.
To Richard Dawkins talking this week.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dawkins a Christian man. Did you see Jordan Peterson had Daniel Dennett on?
Oh yeah, I wanted to watch
I haven't
that.
watched
I
it
didn't
yet,
watch
but
it.
I've wanted to.
Normally, it's like most of the time, like the Peterson guests, like I just don't care. Like I don't know. I kind of feel like I feel a lot about Peterson, like I feel about church, where it's like 6 months and you've heard everything there is to hear. But I did want to watch him interview Dan Dennett. That would have been cool. I think I will check that out.
Yeah. Let's listen to Dana Carvey actually do an impersonation, since the entirety of the left won't be comical for 8 years or something, because they follow the same NPR crap and they think they're on the Selma stuff too. So you can't make fun of a guy who's obviously make funnable right now.
What you just said. Joe, you got to pound the ground game. Michigan and Pennsylvania. Close race. Got to pound it. Got to pound down the ground game, because if you pound down the ground, I can't believe it's not butter. Take her down to Pound Town. Joe, hold on. When you say you can't believe it's not butter, I don't understand what you're talking about. That's just a margarine product that's manufactured to, in fact, it tastes like butter.
Obama, don't try to figure it out. He's just saying crazy things.
Hunter, are you there? Yeah, I'm here. Why does he say can't believe it's not butter when it's clearly just a margarine product? I don't know. That's just he says all the time. Not a problem. Hey, I'm going to China next week. Hang out with some friends. Want to come? Hunter, let it go. Never going to happen. Joe.
I hadn't even watched that one yet. Why can Dana Carvey make fun of him? Like, why can't you guys do that on Saturday Night Live? What's so hard about it? Like, I think people would like Biden better if you just made fun of it.
Yeah.
I don't know how Dana
It humanizes them.
I don't know how Dana Carvey didn't get canceled for his take on Fauci. That was one of the funniest things I've ever seen him do, is making fun of Fauci.
Yeah.
Here's Janice Fiamingo commenting on the J.K. Rowling thing. Present, share screen, Facebook. Well, she's calling out J.K. Rowling because this is kind of a question. J.K. Rowling's valiant defense of biological reality. If women are added to Scottish law as a protected category, will she stand with a man accused of hate speech who insists that women make poorer firefighters, police officers, etc.? So that's kind of a question that you guys, a philosophical one, like the one you might have posed to Maven. You know what happened in Scotland?
Yeah.
So Scotland
I
passed like
bet,
laws
I've been
that you
following,
can't
but yeah.
say anything bad about transgender people.
That's my
online.
Selma
And-
envy. I'm like, make that a law in southeastern Idaho. I know you won't. I'll get fired for it. I'll go to jail for it, and I'll be so fucking cool. And my kids are gonna talk about my great grandkids are gonna talk about how great grandpa Jared went to school or went to jail because everybody said that males can be women, and he was like, no, they can't.
You know what? The thing is, like, you can throw me in prison. I don't care. You can't stop me from saying that Scott
Well, so that's what
Thompson
J.K.
is
Rowling
the funniest
did. She
faggot
came
that
out
ever
on the
lived.
first day and said, "Throw me in prison," then, which put them just on the spot entirely.
Yeah, I'm
the Jolly-
like, and I'm sitting here thinking, like, why didn't I write Harry Potter so that then I could be in that situation?
The Jolly Heretic interviewed Count Dankula about it. It's pretty good, him talking about it. And part of one of the things that he says is that the Scottish police are also like, we do not have the time to go throwing people in prison for this crap. What are you guys talking about? But
I just like the
Janice
whole idea
Mingo
that,
asked
like,
a question
I don't know if
right
it's
here.
verified. I don't know if it's verified, but supposedly a bunch of people were watching the Celtic Rangers game and heard the chanting on the TV and like called the police and were like, I'd like to report a hate crime. I heard 15,000 Glaswegians say bad words. Like it'd just be great to take that police report.
But I think JK would stick to the principle. I think she would stick to the principle of no, you can't send guys to jail for saying that stuff.
Yeah, I think she would.
That's my opinion on that.
Did you see who got the most amount of complaints?
Oh yeah,
It was the prime minister.
Yeah, it
because
was
he said
Scotland's
something
prime
about
minister.
white people 2 years ago.
Yeah, a couple of years ago, he went on the anti-white rant where he's just complaining about the amount of white people in the government of Scotland.
Yeah,
Like,
it's
that's
outrageous.
the level of entitlement you have to to immigrate to a country, become its prime fucking minister.
Is he
and
an
then
immigrant?
complain that more people that you don't look like are in. Oh, I don't know if he's an immigrant actually. So
Is
yeah,
he an
no.
immigrant? I wonder because one thing that's fun because there's a talking about Celtic versus Rangers. There's like a documentary on YouTube that I watched, and it's because it's about that whole thing about how they hate each other and this whole thing about hate speech, and the whole time like they're interviewing this Rangers fan, and who has been like gotten like permanent lifetime bans for his like chants, and it's just funny because you listen, like if you just have the volume on, you just hear this guy goes like, it's just a bit of banter. I don't know what the big deal is. It's all just a bit of banter. And then, but if you look at the thing, the guy's name like Rashid Sunak, whatever, like same thing. And he's like a brown Pakistani dude. And you're just like, what the fuck is going on in the world? Where like there's this Pakistani guy who's been banned from Scottish soccer for hate speech, for singing chants about Catholics and stuff. And it's just like, wow, it's the most amazing thing, this world we live in.
So this was an interesting post. Maybe I'll link it in the chat afterwards. But this fella here went and read the studies in that White Rural Rage book. And it turns out all the studies in it I think it was a book release and The Atlantic covered it. Everything in it was p-hacked and wrong information and misrepresented studies. Like it's
no way.
Right. Going over all of it, just endless lies in the book that of course was gobbled up in the left-wing media entirely. Not even just like how it was framed, like they lied about all the studies that were in it. And we also kind of had some more stuff this week happening with that lady out of Harvard who got caught p-hacking all of her social science studies way back in the day, and Rufo caught some more plagiarists, and they're just catching more and more people left and right who've been full of shit in the science community and world. But nobody's been more science than the Democrats commenting on the eclipse. There was a lady who was the stinking. Well, first off, the people from The View commented on it. One of the ladies from The View.
I saw some of that stuff. I didn't know about any more.
Yeah, she said she thought it was a sign of
Causing
climate
earthquake.
change and that sort of stuff. And I saw people like whining, like saying, like, "Why didn't you right wingers notice the science that the eclipse worked, man?" But
Okay, so that was real. Like that wasn't when I saw that. I just thought it was right wingers, like being unfair, like having a really unfair interpretation.
I
of
think
study hall.
anybody who's talking when they're thinking, it could be unfair. But it
Well,
sure
okay, but
sounds like
did
she
she-
thought
did
it was
she
one of
actually-
that, and earthquakes and the cicadas are all signs of earthquakes. She might have been talking.
Did she actually blame the eclipse on climate change?
They're all signs of climate change. Yep.
It's all yeah.
And
Jesus
Well,
Christ!
she reads NPR. She got the picture. All
How
bad.
stupid
things,
would you have to be? Oh my
climate
god!
change. Like, oh my god, the sun got swallowed by a dragon. Climate
well, none
change.
of it's as stupid as what this.
Well, there's a lot we could say.
I don't know if you saw what this. What's her name? I forget her name.
Say about our political leaders. Are they corrupt? Yes. Are they power hungry? Yes. Are they a bunch of evil, soulless goblins? Yes. But what may be most significant, the trait that may have the most bearing on the future of our country, is that they are, by and large, also extremely stupid. I mean, there's little doubt that we are right now led by the dumbest collection of muddle-headed morons that has ever been assembled in our nation's capital or any nation's capital. It's difficult to overstate just how monstrously stupid these people are. And if you doubt that, then please consider this video of Democrat Representative Sheila Jackson Lee. And before I play the video, you should understand a few things about Sheila Jackson Lee. The first is that she is a former member of the Science Committee. The second is that she's also a former member of the Space and Aeronautics Committee. And the third is that she is, once again, a sitting member of Congress. And in that,
you guys know what she said?
I know.
I don't.
I haven't heard this.
She gave an address on Monday to students from Booker T. Washington High School. And this address happened on the occasion of the eclipse. In fact, and this is not really the stupid part. Well, it's not the really stupid part, but it is a stupid part. She claims that she, as she put it on Twitter, created the opportunity for the students to see the eclipse. Lee tweeted, quote, "Today I created the opportunity to see a unique science and solar experience for the students at Booker T. Washington High School. As a former member of the Science Committee and a former ranking member."
Listen to her speech, because that's just her taking credit for stuff. And stupid politicians do that. But then listen to what she said about the science.
Crowd of students and gave them a little lesson in astronomy. Unfortunately, though, she has an understanding of astronomy that is so garbled, confused, and delusional that my 4-year-old daughter could easily fact check her. Here's what she said.
And sometimes you've heard the word full moon. Sometimes you need to take the opportunity just to come out and see a full moon is that complete rounded circle, which is made up mostly of gases. That's why the question is why, or how could we as humans live on the moon? Are the gases such that we could do that? The sun is a mighty powerful heat. It is almost impossible to go near the sun. The moon is more manageable. And you will see in a moment, or not a moment, you'll see in a couple of years that NASA is going back to the moon.
So this is a sitting Congress.
That's not even
I'm gonna
all of
run-
it, man. She said,
I'm gonna run for Congress. I could win, right? Holy shit! Just think of the retirement plan alone. I'm gonna run for Congress.
so she says, obviously I misspoke and I meant to say the sun is gases. So then Matt Walsh reads it back, putting the sun in place of it, and it makes it even dumber. Like there's no way she was purposely meaning that. But she gets even dumber later. Like, listen to
Wait,
this.
yeah, she thought it was the sun, and she's like, NASA's gonna go to the sun.
It's almost impossible.
No, it makes less sense if you substitute in what she claims.
Oh my god!
That's beautiful. That's just wonderful stuff.
Jesus Christ!
See today will be the closest distance that the moon has ever been in the last 20 years. which means that's why they will shut the light down, because they will be close to the earth, which is an amazing experience and what we are supposed to experience. And I'm hoping we can complete darkness.
Okay, now I can't be sure what exactly this lunatic is babbling about, but she seems to be confusing an eclipse with a supermoon. The latter occurs when a full moon coincides with the moon's closest approach to Earth.
Did she just say they will shut down the sun?
Yeah.
What does that mean? Like,
I want you to have.
We gonna turn down the dimmest light on the sun so y'all can see the moon.
You are controlled by something outside of your human experience.
So
that
she's
the
in
solar
Congress?
system.
Yeah.
Chirp.
Not only in Congress, as you pointed out at the beginning, she was part of like the Science Committee for Youth.
Oh,
Is bigger than us, though there are solar systems and there are systems that are smaller than the Earth. Still, we're in a solar
Every solar
system.
system smaller than the Earth.
There's solar systems smaller than the Earth.
What? I'm trying to I
This is-
wonder
this
what
lady-
I wonder what her picture of the universe is in her mind. Like I wish I could. I wish I
Crazy,
could
this lady definitely graduated high school before No Child Left Behind. So we were that level of retarded before we retarded ourselves down more. Holy fuck.
That really is amazing stuff.
And we depend on the Earth, the moon, and the sun. That is our existence. That is what creates our desire for creativity, our music, our weather, our rain, our snow, our cold, our heat. That solar system working.
Wow. Just
Jesus.
that's
That
really
is
something.
baffling. Wow. Okay. Do you guys have an album of the week for me? Because I've been listening to that Yankee Hotel Foxtrot, and I like it quite a bit, but I need another
Okay.
album.
An album
Wait,
that's good?
what's the best song off of that album?
Of Yankee Hotel Foxtrot?
Yeah.
I like I'm Trying to Break Your Heart or Heavy Metal
Yeah, I
Drummer.
think that's the best one.
Yeah.
I like it's the very first one, but I have been listening to I Am Trying to Break Your Heart nonstop. I love that song. And Morgan
Yeah.
just doesn't get it.
I'm Trying to Break Your Heart
Have you
or Heavy
figured
Metal
out that it's
Drummer
just a
or I'm the Man
three-quarter?
Who Loves You.
What?
Chris said
I'm the Man
something,
Who
but I was
Loves You.
thinking that because I Am Trying to Break Your Heart is just 3 chords repeating.
It is.
There's
No,
there's
I'm
no structure
realizing
to it.
I'm realizing how often, because it reminds me of like one of my favorite songs ever is The Trapeze Swinger by Iron and Wine. And that is just such a repetitive song. It has a simple melody that goes and goes and
Man.
goes and goes. And it's the exact same thing with I Am Trying to Break Your Heart.
Man, there's a lot of Wilco that you still got to get out. Like there's so much good Wilco. Like there's
Yeah.
at least 6 great albums.
They
But,
sound. I
Ghost
seriously,
is
I sent
born.
my dad one of the songs. I was like, "This sounds like if Beck and the Eagles wrote a song together."
Yeah, if you haven't like a
what are the
Ghost
other
is
like
Born
Wilco
is
songs? Like
excellent.
if you go, because like A Ghost of Born is a whole album that's just as good as Yankee Hotel. I love Sky Blue Sky, the album.
Oh
But
yeah,
like
Sky
other
Blue
like
Sky
random
is
songs,
awesome.
I
you
don't want random songs. I want a whole album to listen
you
to.
want a
and
whole
get.
album? Sky
Yeah.
Blue Sky,
Sky Blue
or
Sky.
Sky
that's the
Blue
first
Sky
one that I
or
got off on that Flip showed to me.
like I
That's
mean,
Wilco.
they're very very different because Sky Blue Sky was when Nels Klein came in.
Yeah, Nels Klein, and that one's kind of more song, whereas Yankee Hotel Foxtrot's really kind of like a whole piece. The
Yeah,
only
no,
other
and-
one that Wilco that's really kind of like a whole thing like that is A Ghost Is Born.
Yeah, Ghost is Born is very much like the follow up to Yankee Hotel Foxtrot, where it's a lot more kind of conceptual, thematic.
Yeah, and it's like a full album concept rather than just here's a bunch of songs together.
And there's the
you
one
guys
big
ever listened
typical
to,
song that's just 10 minutes of white noise because it's like he tried to make a musical representation of a migraine. It's like, well, nobody likes migraines, Jeff.
Yeah, I don't that one part. There's that, and there's one song in it that I don't love. I don't love Spiders, the kid
See,
whatever.
the live version of Spiders I like a lot. The album version is too long. It goes on for too long.
Like Hummingbird, Hell is Chrome.
Oh yeah.
What's the one about the
So,
girl giving him a
have you
black
guys-
eye
have you
or
guys
something
listened
like that?
Have you listened to
Yeah.
Titus Andronicus at all? The Battle of
The
Hampton
guy
Roads. I don't know if you've heard that
The
one,
guy
but that's
from,
like it's like a
Kimmy
14-minute
Schmidt?
song. It's one of my only. It's one of the only songs I like that's 14 minutes long.
A good 16-minute long song that I actually really like is
Not Tool. I don't want to listen to Tool.
Oh, I will never say those words. Tool is one of those bands that like okay, I get that. I understand why people like it. Like but
That's
all
exactly
the things
how
that
I
other
feel
people
about
like about it
Tool.
are the things I don't like about it. No, a really great 16-minute long song from an album that is not great is Changes by Boingo. The very last Oingo Boingo album when they were just Boingo.
Yeah.
But there's it ends with a 16-minute long song called Changes. And I think that's a really great song. And that's one that's fun to listen to, but it was written by Danny Elfman, and so like it's like a little movie in the form of song.
Yeah, Oingo
Well, yeah,
Boingo
Oingo
was
is Danny
all the way
Elfman.
through, man.
Yeah.
No, I don't know
There's a
that.
bunch of Oingo
What?
Boingo that's the
Oh man, I
Simpsons
love
song,
Boingo.
and the same guy who did
We can go another 3 hours on Oingo Boingo if we want to.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so Risto asked if I listened to the Pixies, and that was actually the first song I ever played on a guitar was "Where Is My Mind" with my friends, because it was the first time anybody ever put a guitar in my hands, and they all knew how to play it, and it's such an easy lead part that he's like, just do this, and because you already understand rhythm, because I already played saxophone, so I played the lead. So the first song I ever played in a band was the Pixies, "Where Is My Mind?" But I haven't listened to them a whole lot. I have listened to the Pillows. I fucking love the Pillows.
I don't know Pillows.
They're a Japanese band that takes a lot of inspiration from the Pixies, and they did the soundtrack for Fooly Cooly, which is like a parody anime. Anyway, the Pillows are one of my favorite bands, and you should definitely listen to
I want to
them.
look at Pillows.
I'll send you some of them. They're one of my favorite bands ever.
I already talked about
Morrissey's great.
rewatching
I like Morrissey.
Hidden Fortress. Not rewatching, but finally watching Hidden Fortress. I talked about that a couple weeks ago, didn't I? I'm going back through old Kurosawa, and it's making me mad when I watch modern TV and movies because they're so artless and terrible. And Hidden Fortress is so wonderful and great. That's all I need to say.
I've been watching that that Shogun show. That's pretty good.
Is it good?
It's pretty good. I like it so far.
Alrighty.
Should we home math out?
Yeah. Oh man, I love the home ass.
I'm up for whatever.
I know there was one other thing I wanted. I wanted to talk
Yeah, we
about
don't have a
Cardin
home
and
ass
Big
yet.
Being Done.
What did you want to talk?
I'm trying to just think because I knew there was something else that was on my little list of things to say, but no, I think I hit everything.
We
Let's do
haven't seen
Math.
Home Math yet. The Home Math you
Yeah.
suggested last week was a hit, by the way.
Was
I don't remember what it was, but we like
I don't remember
Great
what it was.
record. That thing on Bossa Nova on Dig for Fire, that weird little, I don't know how, that rhythmic change up that they do at the beginning where it's like I don't know why, like I can't suss that out in my brain. It's so brilliant.
All right, let me home math it up. I saved this one forever ago, so I don't even know what it is.
I know a large amount of incredible single women, but any guy I know that's worth knowing already has a partner. But that just can't be true based on how the population of the world works.
I have bad news for you about how the population of the world works. So you say you know a lot of incredible single women and not as many great men. Please notice also that incredible is a stronger word. And it seems like you're assuming that if there are incredible women, there must be an equal number of incredible men. And if there are mid women, there must be an equal number of mid men and so forth. And if we objectively measured things like intelligence, income, facial symmetry, we would probably find an equal number of men and women in high, mid, and low value groups. But we don't measure objectively we like women more. In a study by these people in Psychology of Women Quarterly, which is just an excellent name, this guy is partying about the psychology of women. He hasn't done his reading yet. They found that both male and female respondents evaluated women more favorably than men. I'll just read this last line. This research, therefore, provides strong evidence that women are evaluated quite favorably, in fact, more favorably than men. In other words, when people see unfamiliar women, they tend to go, okay, she has value, she has value, she has value. These lines are all value, but it doesn't work the other way around. An average man is invisible to an average woman.
Like, I feel like for every 10 great women I meet one great man.
That's even more strict than this. This is about 1 to 7, so your standards are even higher than that.
So I'm just thinking, where are they? Where are they hiding?
They're hiding in your perception. The men who look good right away at your low-level fast processing are a very small percentage. But when you spend more time getting to know men at church or whatever, a higher percentage of them start looking good. So this is how bars and dating apps work, and this is how tight-knit communities work. People like each other more, especially women liking men. This is called the proximity principle, and it results in questions like this. Here's an example that I illustrated with the standard female delusion chart.
Proximity attraction in the workplace is a real fucking thing. I met up with this guy that I used to work with at a different Valvoline location. Like, I was obsessed with him. I thought he was super hot. Now, like, I met up with him, and I was like, what the fuck was I thinking?
Like, my math isn't mathing, so where are all the men? Because they must be here.
Unfortunately, the answer is that you are in this area, and the men you're looking for are in this area beneath the great men worth knowing line. You are not alone in your experience of seeing very few good men.
The amount of attractive women versus the amount of attractive men per capita is embarrassing.
Men suck at dating apps.
Everyone on Tinder is like the ugliest species I've ever seen.
Dude, are you on Tinder here? It's disgusting.
They must be here, right? Where are they?
If you want men and women to match 1-to-1 in terms of quality, then men of matching quality are out there, but you are probably looking right through them.
I know a large amount.
The level of self-awareness on this shit is always insane to me. Like, it's always like an overweight woman making fun of an overweight man, which is just the craziest shit ever. Like, how do you not know that you're overweight? And I guess it's because all of your friends gaslight you into thinking that, no, girl, you're pretty.
Yeah.
Undoubtedly. I don't know. Alas, we're never going to figure it out.
Maybe.
Do you want to see?
Because you're not an empath.
Oh, I don't have empathy. That's my problem. Keep forgetting. If only I could feel feelings that other people are feeling.
Time for a Mimi rundown.
God, yeah.
When your daughter comes out as trans at your dad's funeral, Ben Affleck's daughter came out as a boy at their dad's funeral.
It's already bad enough that he has to be married to J-Lo. Now he's got this to deal with.
I don't know what he was doing, like what he was thinking. But then at the same time, I guess it's his other wife making who is into that stuff. I mean, I guess I can see that. Although J-Lo supposedly already has a non-binary kid too.
Who doesn't at this point? Like if you're in Hollywood and you don't have a Tesla and a queer kid, come on.
Oh man, we watched her movie actually. Me and Morgan watched. It's less than an hour long. It's just like a collection of music videos that somebody like sort of smashed into being a film. It's so bad. It's so even the metaphors are completely on the nose.
The new one she made?
Yeah, This Is Me Now in Love.
Where did you watch it?
I think it's on
Netflix. I'm perverse. Oh, I don't have Netflix.
This is good enough for a book review.
Oh, and so no, I've gotten some. Shit. What books have I been reading? I've been reading, The History of Sexuality by Foucault, which the amount of times he brings up, like, man, it used to be awesome because parents would just fuck in front of their kids while their kids are watching. Wouldn't that be like, he just thinks everybody else is going to be like, yeah, those were the days, weren't they? I missed that. And then the other listening to is Rainbow History Lesson, which is it's just the queering of history. That's all it is. They're just telling me who was gay in history, and just spoiler alert, it's everyone. It's fucking everyone. They were all gay, and like all the way up to Achilles, and I can't remember his friend's name. You can't have a friend and be a historical figure. If you have a male friend, they're gonna be like, "Were you butt fucking?" And I'm like, "Well, no, we weren't butt fucking actually." It's like, "Well, you said at one point that you love him." I was like, "Well, yeah, I do love him." Okay, well, you were butt fucking then.
Yeah,
No,
like, that's gay. That's gay.
and they actually, it was funny because like the woman that's doing this it's like showing this picture of just like, see, here's part of the proof that Achilles was butt fucking Pericles or whatever the guy's name was, and it's a picture of him tenderly bandaging his friend's wound, and it's like just the guy has a wound in his arm, and Achilles is wrapping a bandage around it, and I'm like,
And Achilles isn't a monster, so he's being gentle.
that's not gay. And he's not like sucking his cock while he's doing it. He's like, and then the other proof is that when his friend died, he was really sad.
You need to expand your
Like,
imagination.
and I think of that, I'm like, I need to like have this written out thing. I need to write all of the guys that I like, but I wouldn't fuck. And you all three make that list. I like all of you. I wouldn't fuck any of you, just so you know. But I'm gonna have to write it down because otherwise somebody's gonna be like, at one point, Jared said, I really have great respect for Kevin. Clearly they were fucking. And,
No,
I was
the other
like,
thing is, like,
and my kids are gonna be like, I don't think that happened, and they'll be like, you're a bigot.
the other thing is, like, when I just know that the person that wrote the thing where like they're totally baffled that he was sad that his friend died, that person for sure has lots of empathy. Like, no, but I'm sure that person is one of the people that has empathy. And
Yeah, the
and
only
that's
reason
their
that they
problem, is
care for somebody
they
is
understand men too hard because of all their empathy.
I mean, I remember making like jokes about Sam being gay for Frodo, but they were jokes. At least I thought they were jokes, and then now I see all these things where like,
Oh no, there was serious writing
Sam
about that
wanted
stuff
to.
way
Sam
back.
wanted to fuck Frodo. I was like, wait, why? Well, he said at one point he would die for him. Yeah, he loved him. What do you? Men can't love each other. They use.
And they're on
They
a
use.
mission with a common goal, and they
Well, they even this book. It's great because they
paired
use
this all out with,
Socrates. They use Socrates as an excuse because they're talking about it in. I can't remember what the Plato book was, but they were talking about the love of Achilles and his buddy, and how that's a love even higher than Eros, which is erotic love, and how that's so awesome. And then one guy was like, if you had an army full of dudes who had that love for each other, they would be unbeatable. And so this author of this book took that to mean like, oh yeah, if you had an army of dudes that wanted to fuck each other, they'd be unbeatable. Like, that wasn't what he was saying. He said if you had an army full of men that loved each other, brotherly platonic love, like the highest love, then they would be undefeatable because they don't want men that they love to be defeated. No, they're fucking, right? No, they love each other. So they're fucking, right? No, they love each other.
but they have empathy.
Jared, you need to agree with this Salt Lake Tribune ad opinion. Parents should have a say in what their children read, but they shouldn't decide for the entire classroom.
Oh, eat all of the dicks. My God. At this point, if you do
each and every dick one at a time in order.
I'm like such a dick on like the Idaho Falls Facebook page at this point, because like the other day a guy was asking about gyms. I'm just so sardonic and shitty now that he's like, what's the best gym? And I was like, I do Planet Fitness. They're awesome because they have affirmations on the wall and they let you use the women's locker room. It's fucking awesome. And then this woman was like, I'm looking for homeschool co-ops. Where do I go? And I was like, if you do homeschool co-ops, who's going to teach your kid that men can get pregnant? I'm just such a snarky cunt on all of these things now because I can't stand it anymore. It's all insane.
Have you become Gerald Broflovsky?
Something like, yeah, sure. Yeah, but I'm
yes,
not
I hear the
sensitive
dick
about
in
it.
your mouth, lady.
But I'm not trolling. I'm just saying things that are just obvious.
It's a hard life. Don't we wish
All
we
right,
had
here's a zing on
easy like they did in the old days?
on Gimli that's probably true. And what gift would a dwarf ask of the elves? Nothing except to look upon the lady of Galadrim one last time, for she is more fair than all the jewels beneath the earth. Sees the elves for 140 years, catches the faintest whiff of Galadriel's elficy, immediately starts simping. Are dwarf cells really like this?
Okay, so this is another one of those things where if I was 16 years old and I saw this, I'd be like, "That's so funny," and we're all joking, right? Now I have this retrospect, and I'm like, "No, last time we were all joking. You guys actually started saying that Jews rule the world, and that they're trying to infiltrate us with a bunch of black people or whatever." And so I'm like, no, fuck you. I'm going to defend Gimli because if you want one of the greatest fictional stories of two people overcoming bigotry of all time, read Lord of the Rings and look straight at Legolas and Gimli overcoming centuries of bigotry. It's amazing, and they do it in such a beautiful manner. They both go from hating each other to at least kind of sort of liking each other.
To boning.
They are fucking. They definitely were fucking because at one time Legolas was like, I would kill you if you killed Gimli. And so clearly they're fucking, which is gross. But yeah, this is a story of overcoming. No, don't
what happens
fuck
like
with my Gimli.
if several dwarves end up in like the elven woods or something like that, and they're all like, "Oh man, I think we should hire dwarves for the tree sitting positions." I'm like, you're a big fat dwarf. You can't sit in the trees. You're too heavy or something like that. And
It's bigotry. No, there needs to be 50-50 representation. Like if you have a nation that's half dwarf, half elf, you have to have at least half of your basketball players being dwarves. It sounds counterintuitive because maybe, but that's the thing. I just recently re-listened to
you need to be in the arrow infantry. We need 50% dwarves in the arrow infantry. You guys are pretty good at axes. We're gonna be arrow infantry.
We're gonna fucking die. No, that's one of the things I keep asking feminists lately is like, wait a minute, do you think that there is no like inherent temperamental difference between men and women, like boys and girls? And they're always like, nope, it's all socially constructed. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Did you guys see that Charlemagne the God came out a couple times this week dunking on DEI?
Really?
No.
He said DEI was just crap and just like a way for the Biden administration to cover up and pretend like they're doing something good, and that it was just dumb.
Nice. Those things are true.
But here's but I guess according to Kwaku, Charlemagne the God's a racist. When the ensign that beamed you down from the Enterprise is a DEI hire.
I've seen that one everywhere.
You seen that one?
Yeah, no, but like I mean, there's probably like multiple nexuses. What's the plural of nexus? Nexi of Star Trek algorithmness on my computerness. So I've seen that one all over the place.
Here's he, them, the U of the universe. We already covered that one. Oh my goodness. Palia. Liberalism defines government as tyrant father, but demands it behave as nurturant mother. Society must be so tyrannical that you should be protected from mean tweets, but also so permissive that you should be able to change your gender and back. How climate change is hitting vulnerable Indonesian trans sex workers.
That's that they made a joke about. That's the fucking Vice News joke where the dude drinking his soy milk just chucks his dildo suction cup at the wall blindly, and Indonesian sex workers.
No, and Ryan Long did the how to be a blogger. He hit his version of that same joke. That's just one of those where it's you try to imagine okay, Woody Allen is trying to write what's a ridiculous thing I can put for a gag in my movie as a news story that's gone too far. That's the one. It's climate change, Indonesian sex workers.
So they've announced that this Indian girl is going to be Rapunzel in the Disney live action. And then later,
is it because
this
she's a
chick is
really
going to be
great
the
actress
Silver
that she
Surfer.
captured the part? So that seems like that lady that played Silver that they've cast for Silver Surfer. So because I don't know anything about Silver Surfers or comics or nothing, but that actress, she's fantastic.
She's
I'll watch
great
her
in
do just
Ozark,
about
yeah.
anything if the
No,
role is good.
that's not the Silver Surfer.
But yeah, I don't.
Honestly.
Yeah.
No,
But the Silver Surfer back in the 90s, they made Lawrence Fishburne that, but Lawrence Fishburne pulls it off. But the
He was
Silver
the Silver
Surfer is
Surfer?
one of the most powerful beings you've ever come across.
Well, and that's everybody's pointing out that in the comics at one point the Silver Surfer was gender swapped. I was like, yeah, so was everyone. There's this stupid alternate universe for everything, and I hate it. It's such a dumb fucking trope. Did you point out the Romeo and Juliet yet?
Oh gosh, I didn't even
pretty
pull that
great.
one up. I don't know. I almost feel
The
like
one-
that one is just so blatant. It feels.
That one's so insane to me. I don't want to be like a dick, but it shows the picture of the actress, and somebody just commented, she's supposed to be so hot that Tom Holland kills himself because he can't be with her.
Yeah, that one's there's hot black chicks out there. Come on.
Yeah.
She doesn't look so bad right there. Maybe they chose a worse picture. Or
They gave her
there
the
it
video
was.
game treatment.
Although I guess Tom Holland's he likes what's her name? He's dating Zendaya or whatever.
Zendaya is. I don't know why we all.
So here's the sniff test. Do you think Kwaku would think she's hot?
No. I bet Kwaku might think that he's hot.
Yeah.
Kwaku or that guy?
The guy, I think he's name.
All
Oh
the
yeah,
time.
there was a whole huge hit piece on Kwaku this week.
Oh yeah.
Forgot about that. Did you guys watch it?
Nah. Oh, yeah.
I
did
watched part of it.
What's this one?
Actually, all those hit pieces are coming out pretty much exactly the same.
Well, yeah. Some of her points were fine, and then some were like, he had parties during the pandemic. Okay,
Oh my
lady,
gosh.
shut the
Yeah,
fuck up.
some
I
of them
don't
just
care.
do the thing that we were talking about. Maybe it's you could just assume some sort of leftist priors, and this is the bad thing about him. There's a thing where he says, "I'm not a conservative at all," and she goes, "Oh yeah," and she pulls up a bunch of clips of him kind of talking about not being down with woke stuff, and that was supposedly supposed to mean that he's not a conservative. Well, guess what? Have you ever heard of a shit lib? There's shit libs, chick. There's all sorts of shit libs out there who are not down with the wokeness.
I had this. I actually had this discussion in one of those ex-Mormon group chats I was just kind of thrown into because now that's a thing Facebook does, and somebody was like, "There's this dude that keeps bringing up
Meet your
how
new friends, Jared."
Yeah, no, there's this
Just
dude that keeps
throws
bringing
you-
up how socialist he is, and eventually, somebody was like, we got into this big political spat, and somebody's like, that's not the point of this group. The admin said no politics. Why are we doing politics? And I was like, well, because Avery decides twice a day that he wants to bring up his socialism. And he was like, yeah, you're right. I'm sorry. I keep bringing it up. It's not related. And I was like, it doesn't bother me because every time you do it, I feel justified in shitting on socialism. And he
Yeah.
was like, if you're conservative, then why are you in this group? And I was like, do you think that the world really just is divided in socialists and conservatives? And that's it.
Yeah, the fact is they do think that.
I want to see
those
this
are all the
Utah's
options
Most
that are
Eligible
available to them.
Bachelor. She talked about that. That's where she first saw him. I never saw the show. Utah's Bachelor show.
Oh yeah.
Mm.
I didn't watch it, but I saw.
Can that be found anywhere? Did they get married?
I doubt it. Kwaku, like one of the first things he bought her was like a latte. I don't understand that. It's a little weird. It's like, yeah, Mormon girls love Starbucks. It's like, what do you?
Yeah.
It's coffee, you weirdo.
Well, she was like, a lot of people like called her out for actually saying that everything that Starbucks serves has coffee in it, but it doesn't. So she got called out, but she's not gonna fess up to that in a video.
Yeah, but didn't he get her a latte?
No,
a frappuccino.
He said that he got a. I think that's right in there. Or
did he?
I
a frappuccino.
I don't
or
remember what
something.
it was.
She gets called out in the
Here it
comments.
is.
Well, good to see you again.
I went to Starbucks and I got her a vanilla bean frap with caramel and just knew that would work. You know, there's one thing about Utah or
Vanilla bean frap.
I guess I don't know enough about coffee. Maybe that.
I think that's basically a milkshake.
Oh
I
yeah,
know it's a
I think
milkshake.
they
just
have
thought it had
caffeine, uncaffeinated things.
but she
The
calls
chick
it-
says it definitely has.
it all
like
has coffee in it.
I don't know. It could have, but because I know Starbucks has non-coffee options. It's a thing they offer. They are in business, so it's a thing they offer. But I don't know.
No, the vanilla bean frappuccino at Starbucks does not contain any coffee on Google. So this chick's giving out some misinformation right here.
American
Throw her
girls
off
at
of
Starbucks.
Twitter.
By the way, Mormons, a PSA, Frappuccinos have coffee in them.
Misinformation! The coffee frappuccino blended beverage has coffee.
Man, I want some
No,
coffee.
the vanilla bean frappuccino at Starbucks does not contain any coffee. It is a
Yeah,
coffee-free
and then-
blended beverage.
Her soul is safe.
In the comments, she just like kind of laughs it off. Oh yeah, I guess I was wrong.
You've been fact-checked. Oh, so she got fact-checked in the comments?
Mm-hmm.
They showed her.
Not pulling them up. Man, you must have gone deep in those comments, man.
I didn't go that deep.
Huh. Well, there you go. Yeah, that's a dumb hit piece. I said during the comments that she's a church lady, and she said she didn't know if I was giving her a compliment or not. No, there it is. You're the Dana Carvey church lady now. Good one.
Yeah, well, I was. That's what I was looking for. I was looking for your comment because I knew you had called her out.
She goes, good one. I said, well, isn't that special? I didn't say that. Well, I can't tell if it's a compliment or a diss. Can you please advise either way? Thank you. This person says compliment from me. I just never answered it. I ghosted you. You got ghosted. But now you know.
I think it wasn't. It probably wasn't a compliment, if I had to guess. If I remember
Was not.
correctly, the Dana Carvey church lady
Well,
was kind of a cunt.
Yeah. Would anybody be like, man, that guy called me the Dana Carvey church leader?
No.
Lady. Yeah.
Wow. I feel good about myself now.
I like. Here's the meme. Here's a. Anybody want to say something?
That's just
Oh,
the
God.
absolute level of like narcissism to make everything about yourself. You are at your grandfather's funeral. Your dad is mourning the loss of his dad. This should be a big deal to not only him, but to you. And they're like, let's talk about his life. And you just say, by the way, call me a
OJ's
boy now, you fucking bigots.
OJ's nephew came out at his funeral.
OJ's nephew came out during his funeral.
This is so great.
There's some great OJ.
Man, I remember that day of him driving the Bronco. I can remember it like it's yesterday. I
Oh,
watched
yeah.
that dang thing
Oh, I
on
did too.
a flicker black and white television. That's how long ago it was.
Yep.
And I still remember it like it's yesterday.
Man, that was so crazy.
I was watching the Knicks NBA championship game when it happened.
I was probably watching Animaniacs.
What year was that? Was that
93?
Like 18 dickety do.
Wait, was it 93?
What year was that? I don't know. I'm trying to think. Cause like,
somewhere around then?
yeah, because the trial. I remember that because
It was 95.
Yeah,
I was
were
in
high-
ninth
I remember
grade
being in
gym
high school
class.
when all the shit was going, like the trial was going on.
I remember that I was in ninth grade gym class when they announced over the intercom that O.J. Simpson had been acquitted.
They did?
Yeah. Like I think so. Like as I recall, because like I think they just knew like, look, we just need to get this out there just to otherwise people are going to be going nuts. Because this is long before cell phones and shit. But like yeah, I
Go
remember
back.
like
I want to ask our resident gun expert about this
Yeah.
picture. Go
Let me read
back to
this
the
real
date.
quick because this is just another quote about
Oh.
people who think they're doing good, do the most evil from Solzhenitsyn. Kevin sent it. To do evil, a human being must first of all believe that what he's doing is good, or else that is a well-considered act in conformity with natural law. Fortunately, it is the nature of the human being to seek justification for his actions. Ideology, that is what gives the evil doing its long-sought justification and gives the evildoer the necessary steadfastness and determination. Although I think every once in a while there's an evil person who thinks what they're doing is evil and they're just going to do the evil stuff anyway.
Yeah.
I'm going to run the rest.
Okay, so what happens, Kevin, here when he like? Do you think those shells are like put in post? Because I'm
No.
looking
No.
at that positioning on his shoulder, and I was like, that's gotta fucking hurt.
Well, and here's the thing that there's not a whole lot of recoil with an AR. Like
Yeah.
they don't kick hard, you know what I mean?
I
But
guess
he's
not that
totally
bad.
shouldering it like, dude, what are you trying to break your clavicle?
Yeah, I know. That's he's got it rested against his
Yeah.
clavicle.
And this guy is apparently is like a commanding officer on the ship. So what happened was the Navy posted this and they real quick took it down
Wow.
because they were just getting torched. But yeah, there's just so many things wrong. The optic on there is backward, and he's also like sitting
Like,
here with
but
it
who put
with
it
his
on?
eye like right up almost to it. That's like completely bad form. Also,
got
his
his elbow all the way
when
out.
when you're shooting, you're not supposed to have your elbow out like this. You're supposed to be down. So it's just there's a lot going wrong here. But the casing's shooting out like that. If he's running on auto, that's definitely probably
I'm
real.
sure it is. The only reason I was like, maybe they put it in later was,
And I just love the
like
the
that
hand, like
fucking
his
yeah, the
boyfriend.
guy like
You're
touching
doing
him.
great. You're doing great.
Good job, buddy.
You can do it, friend.
So yeah,
I'm like, fuck, that's gotta hurt your fucking like just right. Ow.
I really like. You guys pay attention to like all the bullshit propaganda, like recruiting strategy ads and stuff like that. I don't think the Marines are doing it, but like the general like Army and stuff like that. They're all putting out all this bullshit. I get tired of it. Like almost every ad I see is like some girl and they're like behind a computer, like you can change the world, type of a.
I've seen all like the Disney ones where it's like, I'm a beautiful, strong, half black, half Indian woman,
Yeah.
and my two moms taught me to be really brave, and I'm gonna be super brave and wish upon a star. I love the ones where they juxtapose them to like the Russian and Chinese propaganda. I'm like, man, I don't love propaganda, but like our propaganda game is fucking weak. Because we got like Disney bullshit gay moms, and they've got like, be a fucking man. This guy doesn't smoke cigarettes, he eats them. I did see that. So you also sent their response. That was pretty funny.
Yeah.
After they got rid of that, and I'm sure
It wasn't response. It was the tweet that they put up like in place of it. Like they had to delete it, so they had a new one that they put out, and it's pretty.
it's
good
very
too.
diverse. I liked
Yeah.
that. No, my kid's actually my 3-year-old. He's actually like obsessed with guns at this point because I showed my
Society told him so.
yeah, something like that. No, that's one of the craziest. Having kids will just totally erase that in your mind. The idea that any of the classic boy versus girl differences are societally imposed versus just natural. Because
Yeah.
like that, my younger kid, one of the first things he was obsessed with was cars. He just loved cars. He loved looking at them, loved looking at the different parts of them. Now he loves guns, and then he loved basketball. Like at one point, and I went to show my brother-in-law. I got a Glock recently, and I was showing it to my brother-in-law, and my 3-year-old sitting there bragging about it, and he goes, "Hey, Dad, show him the big one, Dad. Show him the big one." And he's talking about the AR. So I'm like, okay, I'll go get the big one. And then my 3-year-old showing off the AR to his uncle.
So, academic agent who's had this long time bet with Aaron McIntyre about will the Biden people put the woke away or not? He still thinks like within a year and a half they're going to put the woke away entirely. Maybe even before the election, maybe not. And Aaron McIntyre thinks no, it's a religion. They truly believe it. They're not fully on that Machiavellian level, or even if some of them are, not enough of them are that they won't be able to put the woke away. But they think one of the big signs is like watching the military recruitment ads. So if you see those ads suddenly turn to balls out, get the men and act cool again, watch out because World War III is about to hit. They want to recruit guys to get into it. So as long as it's foofy and still trying to recruit trans whatever men, some girl with her 2 moms.
It's like when you see a rainbow outside, you know that
you can probably say, okay, well, we're not invading Taiwan tomorrow.
Yeah, so if we are able to survive World War III, I do know that I need to get a bunch of like wilderness survival skills so that I can go live off the grid, so that my sons can dodge the draft in World War IV. I've been thinking about that. I'm like, shit, I am not gonna let my kids get drafted in this bullshit. I need to go live in the Montana mountains.
McIntyre says, man, you're wrong. They're not putting the woke away. They won't put the woke away even if we're invading Taiwan. So that's part of his bet.
All righty. What are we at? 3.5
Look
hours?
upon Jonathan.
Yeah, we need some of those.
That's so great.
I want one of those for me. I am definitely gonna. That'll be a profile picture right there.
I like that his office looks like it's.
I just wanted
It's like 1960s paneling, 70s paneling.
I just wanted Jonathan to have a gold headband that said it had "Thrive" embossed on it.
Here's a good what do they call these? A thing to be able to find out if a white person's racist. If a white person moves out, it's white flight, racism. Moves in, gentrification, racism. Sees color, racism. Doesn't see color, ignoring racism, racism. Doesn't partake in culture, non-inclusive is racism. Engages in culture, cultural appropriation, racism.
Man, that's one of those things that's funny is because like this samba stuff I play with is like for this like community art thing. And it's just like, and it's funny because like it's this American lady and her husband. And like, you know, they met in college. He was a percussionist, she was a dancer. And I frankly don't even know the whole story, but like 25 years ago, they became obsessed with samba and samba culture. And they've trained for 25 years and they have become like world-class level people at this art and this whole thing. And they put these things on and because on the one hand, I was supposed to be like, how dare you? Like, how dare you appropriate this? But it's like, I'm delighted. Like, because a lot of the samba stuff is dying in Brazil, even. You know, like in Brazil, people are lamenting that the younger generations aren't into this crap. And like these goofball white Americans decide like, hey, we're just going to glom onto this because we think it's cool and we're going to build our whole lives around doing it. Like, good for them, you know? like it's amazing. But like, yeah, like under the woke world, we're supposed to be like, no, how dare you? You can't do that.
You want to hear before we take off or end it? We could end it on a note of Werner Herzog.
Yay!
Werner
Lamenting
Herzog.
how terrible the forest is.
Is he dead? I thought he died
No,
recently.
I don't think so.
Kinski always says it's full of erotic elements. I don't see it so much erotic. I see it more full of obscenity. And nature here is vile and base. I wouldn't see anything erotical here. I would see fornication and asphyxiation and choking and fighting for survival and growing and just rotting away. Of course, there's a lot of misery, but it is the same misery that is all around us. The trees here are in misery and the birds
He
are
should
in
be
misery.
smoking a cigarette.
They sing, they just screech in pain. Taking a close look at what's around us, there is some sort of harmony. It is harmony of overwhelming and collective murder. In comparison to the articulate vileness and baseness and obscenity of all this jungle, we, in comparison to that enormous articulation, we only sound and look like badly pronounced and half-finished sentences out of a stupid suburban novel, a cheap novel. And we have to become humble in front of this overwhelming misery and overwhelming fornication, overwhelming growth, and overwhelming lack of order. Even the stars up here in the sky look like a mess. There is no harmony in the universe. We have to get acquainted to this idea that there is no real harmony as we have conceived it. But
And he really
when I
wrote
say this all full of admiration for the jungle. It is not that I hate it. I love it. I love it very much. But I love it against my better judgment.
I didn't even know who Werner Herzog was. Like my first exposure to him was when I was like 9 years old watching The Simpsons.
Oh, really?
He is mentioned in The Simpsons a couple times, and then after that, I watched Grizzly Man somewhat recently, and I love Werner Herzog now. He's hilarious. So Casey says we need to look up Werner Herzog saying "Here comes Honey Boo Boo." I don't know.
We need to make an intro, and part of the intro needs to be Werner Herzog talking about the vileness, or what did he say? It's all murder.
This Honey Boo Boo, it's all just fornication and utter violence and just disorder and chaos. It's all just
And then
terrible.
Flip had that one he added. I can't find like a link to it of what he wants in the intro from.
There's a whole bunch of stuff from Adult Swim, but I definitely want that clip of Shake
Oh, yeah,
going.
the
They're
Master
like
Shake.
Mormons. If you treat them with respect, you'll have a friend for life.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to find it. He shared it. It's not.
I
in the
mean, I
links.
just
have
took
to
video
scroll up
off
the
of my
thing.
TV or off of my computer of it, but.
Oh, it's vile murder. Even the stars are a mess.
This is just utter fornication and chaos and just terrible nonsense. And it's just, life is just stupid pain. It's inflicted upon all of us. The meaningless nihilism of the universe, the entropy of it all.
Man. How'd that guy end up German and not French?
Yeah, no doubt.
Is he French?
No, he's German. That's
No,
what I'm
he's
saying.
German.
Like, how'd he end up
Oh
German?
yeah. No, that's
He
what I was
sounds
saying.
like a Frenchman.
He sound like his accent is German, but I remember it like
Yeah.
the first time hearing him, I was like, this guy sounds like Foucault smoking
Yeah.
a cigarette.
This guy's-
Treat my lady. Tell him to treat my lady right.
Hey,
Hey.
you right?
Modern women. You ever been in an open relationship?
Can't say I have.
They're very healthy. I mean, I could see whoever I want as well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I choose not to. It's just a first date. She'll probably just have a couple drinks with him and make plans to see him another time.
Yeah.
Hey, what's up, babe? Oh, hey, what's up, Della? Oh, this is like this.
Yeah.
You play you hoop. You're tall guy. She did today. Didn't tell me that she was going to be bringing him back. Hey, I just want to make sure everything's okay. You know, you weren't gone for very long. It's a photo from our anniversary. Took it to the Riverwalk in San Antonio.
Beautiful. You want to watch something?
Oh, hey, thought I smelled smoke.
It's really fun. Do you want to talk about it?
Talk about what?
I'll go to my room.
Yeah. What'd you say his name was again?
Okay,
where's he taking my lady? Tell him to treat my lady right.
Hey.
My lady.
Right?
Modern women. You ever been in an open relationship?
Can't say I have.
They're very healthy. I mean, I can see whoever I want.
They're very healthy. There you go.
That's about right.
But look over there. Bunch of giant birds. Yeah. Well, they're like Mormons. You treat them with respect, and they'll be your friend for life.
I don't know that Dana Snyder has that
intro
Dan Castellaneta thing where he's able to extract maximum comedy from any sentence.
Oh, I know.
That delivery, they're like Mormons. Alrighty.
A Mormon somewhere else. It was in the most recent season of
Mormons are mentioned
Curb
a
Your
lot.
Enthusiasm, but I also
Like-
saw it somewhere else this week. Where did I see it pop up?
No, there's
Mormons
another
are disproportionately Mormons are disproportionately mentioned in media, and I think it's only growing over the last like 5
Oh,
years.
for sure.
Yeah, there's another clip of Carl.
Not to mention that
Swear to God,
there's
if
all
it's
sorts
that
of people
Mormon
making
kid.
they
Why
make
is he
specific
not going
movies
on
about
Mormon?
it, but I think half the time that they're doing that, they're specifically trying to make it look bad. So
Yeah.
well,
Alrighty.
that's
Did we do
about
it?
it. That's about it. That's about it.
Have
good
we
ass time.
accomplished the thing that we wanted to?
Yeah, and there's nothing else. Well, I
Cool.
mean, there is much else, but we don't need to hit it.
There's always something. There's always
Yeah.
something.
There's always a lot of retarded shit that happens in ex-Mormon world, and we actually didn't cover much of it last week because we were very sidetracked.
Yeah, there wasn't a ton. Like you missed the whole thing where Delin did that rant, and I was thinking you guys could have done like a whole episode on Delin's rant, if you remember that.
I don't what. Oh, I don't even know. He ranted.
Yeah, he had like another "You're killing all the kids" rant or something like that. That was like weeks ago.
No, there was a lot of stuff that we could have done. I was planning on doing most of the hour on Maven's stuff until Marty got Maven to come on, and then we did it all on Maven's stuff for 5 hours.
Fun times.
Yeah, there's still more stuff. There's a bunch more that we could hit.
Oh,
but
yeah,
we got caught in
there's
other
plenty.
things.
Jacob Hansen lost.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, I saw
Jacob had his
that.
wrestling match and lost.
This fight. So Brigham killed Joseph.
Yep.
Yeah, no, it just means that Joseph didn't do
Joseph
polygamy.
Yeah.
Oh, it was just a polygamy. But
Yeah. No, I don't know anything about Isbell. I don't know if he's like one of those who killed Joseph Smith guys. I watched that.
Yeah, he
that-
is.
Oh, he is? Okay. I did watch the first part, maybe the second part of that documentary. I was actually impressed with like their recreation. I think it's all nonsense, but their recreation was pretty fun to watch of Joseph leaving the room, like the shooting, just how it happened and stuff like that. That was kind of fun to watch. I love a good conspiracy. I don't believe it like even a little bit. And then his big sort of smoking gun was that he got an expert to say, "Well, your theory is not impossible."
Not impossible. So you think?
Yeah, it's not.
There's still a
You're
chance?
saying there's a chance.
Yeah.
Oy, 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 oy. Jonathan did another beautiful trouble about crap art. Got pretty good interaction with the Mormon stories.
Huh.
You
I
need to
had
see
to
that
go
one.
do. I had to go do respirator training the other week, so I had to shave.
Oh, so you had to shave your beard off?
Yeah, I had to. I like it. I look fucking dumb. I'm realizing how fat I've gotten since I've been at this new place because now I don't have a beard to hide my second chin.
Nice. Well, there's a ton more, but it's all little bitty stuff. So
Alrighty.
we can call it good.
Well, hot
Cool.
damn.
Just stay true in your soft boy era.
Remember who you are.
Drizzle, drizzle.
Make them vote for you.
All right, we'll see.
Drizzle,
ya.
drizzle. Later.
Uploads in progress. What? Oh.
Oh, yeah, that's